How the hell are you guys doing tonight? Still riding the high of last night's victory. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean. The NFL season has been tremendous to this point, and we're only 1 week in for primetime games. The NFL may not be Mike Jack, but damn did it produce another thriller last night. We'll recap that, and we'll take a look at all of the games on the docket for week number 2 in the National Football League here on the 203rd installment of the LouieTeeNetwork podcast that starts now. Who else could it be? Me, your name, Louie T. Welcome to the 203rd installment of the LouieTeeNetwork podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Lot to get to tonight. Thrilling primetime game last night. One that, if you were a fan of either team, pushed you to the brink. And that's the third out of 4 primetime games that have gone to the wire and have ended in walk-off fashion, which is amazing considering that it's not often we get walk-off winners on primetime television. Normally, it's a solid game. You know, we talk about, oh, okay, you know, we've had some stinkers on primetime, yada, yada, yada. That hasn't been the case. We're 3 or 4 right now. We're batting .750 on the season for primetime games. You know, Tampa Bay Buccaneers walk off the Dallas Cowboys on the opening kickoff game of the season Thursday night, week 1. We got a stinker on Sunday night, Bears at Rams. That was a total, undressing by the Rams of the Bears, which we knew was going to take place. Then we go to the Monday night game. That was absolutely bonkers between the Baltimore Ravens and the Vegas Raiders. I mean, that had the same type of feel of the game we saw Thursday night, where it felt like one team was going to win, then it felt like the other team was going to win, then it felt like the team that we thought was going to win initially was going to win, then that other team took the command of the game and it felt like they were in control and were going to win. That Vegas Ravens game was just insane. The twists and the turns and the ups and the downs, the peaks and the valleys. You thought the game was over in regulation, then the Raiders tie it up. You thought the Raiders were going to win in overtime, then they throw an interception. You think they just blew their chance. And then the Ravens fumble, and then the Raiders, you think they're going to kick a field goal. They get a delay of game penalty because they don't have any more timeouts left, and they get backed up 5 yards. So they bring their offense back out, and then they throw a bomb for a touchdown to walk it off in overtime. And in that last 5 minutes of the Washington game is insane. So the Giants take a 26-20 lead. Then Taylor Heineke takes Washington down the field in 2 plays. They score a touchdown and take the lead 27-26. The Giants haven't punted all second half long. They finally picked the most inopportune time to go 3 and out. They punt the football away. Washington gets it back. They've got a chance to run out the clock. All they need is about 2 first downs, maybe a 3rd first down, because they got a first down on first down with the run with Antonio Gibson. So that actually backfired against them, which you don't care if you get a first down on first down. So they needed 2 more first downs to pretty much ice the game away, and they throw an interception. And so the Giants have it inside the Washington 25 with a chance to, really do some damage. Really, if they just get 2 first downs or even 1, the game is probably over. They're going to probably walk that thing off, burn that clock down to next to nothing, kick a walk-off field goal, and win the game themselves 29-27. They're unable to do that. And so Washington is now trailing in the game 29-27 with 2 minutes remaining. They get the football back with 1 timeout, 2 minutes on the clock. They drive it, down the field. It looks like maybe they are going to have to burn their last timeout with 34 seconds left because the referee stopped the game. Turns out that the penalty's not on Washington with the clock running, but rather the Giants for being in the neutral zone. So Washington holds on to that timeout, gains 5 yards. Then the Giants have to burn both of their timeouts. One, because they had too many men on the field. So that stopped them from being able to ice the kicker at the end of the ball game. Fast forward, Terry McLaurin catches a pass. The officials go to look at it. They confirm the catch. Washington spikes the ball with 5 seconds left. They bring their kicker on the field. You're thinking, okay, he's been, money all night, 2 of 2. Both kickers were really excellent on the game. Graham Gano went 5 for 5 for the Giants. And at the time, Washington kicker Dustin Hopkins was 2 of 2. He goes out there. He misses the kick from 48 yards. The Giants look like they've won. But Dexter Lawrence, nose tackle for the New York Giants, is offsides. Don't ask me what the hell he was thinking nor doing on the play. Like, what are you doing? You're not going to block the kick, so why the hell are you moving anyway? Don't get me started on that. So Washington gets a reprieve. They get a mulligan from 5 yards closer. 43 yards out, Dustin Hopkins bangs it home, and the Washington football team is victorious. So that was another thriller, a nail-biter, and we've had some fantastic games. As I've mentioned, the NFL, they're not Mike Jack, but they've produced some thrillers to start this NFL season off. And if those 3 games are any indication of what's to come, Sunday Night Football owes us one. We've got Ravens and Chiefs. They owe us one. They gave us a dud. They're the only primetime outlet that has given us trash to this point. They owe us one this week. I think we're going to get some trash on Monday night with the Packers and the Lions. I could be wrong. That is family business, and you know how family business goes. So we'll see how that turns out. But in any event, how the hell are you guys doing tonight? I am doing fantastic, as you would imagine. The air smells better. My food, I just ate dinner not too long ago. That tasted splendid. I've got some wine chilling in the freezer. That's going to taste amazing. I'm feeling good. I'm on cloud 9. What about you? It feels good. You know the difference between 0-2 and 1-1? It's only one game, but it feels like 10 games, okay? Feels like an eternity. Literally, it was 24 hours ago. This time, we didn't know if we would be 0-2 heading to Buffalo or 1-1 heading to Buffalo. And now, we're 1-1. We're heading to Buffalo next week. We got 10 days off. We get to watch all these games. Feels good. Feels good. Meanwhile, the Giants are 0-2, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. But before I get to the Gem Droppin Session today, I see that I have a few super chats, so I do want to get to those really quick and knock these out. So we start with Zacchaeus Maggette III. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Zacchaeus Maggette III, who writes, "We can really use Curtis Samuel's speed as an extra weapon, so hopefully he returns soon." Well, that's the hope. That's why you put him on IR, so that he has an opportunity to mend and not have to worry about the pressure of trying to get back onto the field. And that's why I advocated for Ron Rivera and company to just put him on IR. Look, you wanted him to be ready for week 1, but it didn't come to fruition. Let's get him healthy. This is not a sprint, but rather a marathon. Let's get him healthy. And if he's ready by week 4 at Atlanta, great. If not, you hold out until he is ready, because he has dynamic ability that can change this offense in the way that teams are able to defend them. So he needs to be healthy. And I don't want them rushing him until he is completely healthy. So if that takes 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, so be it. I just want the guy completely healthy when he does come back. Like he said, I don't want him yo-yoing in and out of the lineup when he does get back. So you're right. His speed and his ability, it definitely will change this offense dynamically, and he'll be another weapon, as you mentioned, Zacchaeus. It's without a doubt, which is why they signed him in free agency, why he was a priority for Washington, for sure. Thank you for that super chat. Got another one here from Emperor Meech. Thank you for the super chat, Emperor Meech. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Emperor Meech, writes, "I detest how your team makes the Giants QB look godly, but y'all bums finally did what I asked. The tears are delicious, and the Giants are getting roasted. This is good. I'm loving the chaos in New Jersey." And you know what, Emperor Meech? You're my guy. So I'm going to share this with you because we talk about these things all the time. So you know what the mantra has been in Washington for the last 4 years strong now. It's been protect Dave Gettleman at all costs. And that meant we had to do our part in Washington, which means for the better part of 3 seasons, we've had to lose to the Giants pretty much every time we've seen you guys. We've gotten swept the last 2 seasons prior to this one, and you guys beat us the last game in 2018 as well. So we had done our part as the part of the NFC East that wanted to make sure that Dave Gettleman remained intact as the Giants general manager for years to come. I had finally gotten sick and tired of doing our part. Now, I don't want Daniel Jones gone, but if Dave Gettleman has to go, then so be it. I can't keep losing to the Giants. But what we can do is still beat the Giants, but allow Daniel Jones to look like John Elway in the process. And essentially, that's what we were able to do. Daniel Jones didn't turn the football over. You could argue he played his best game of his career. Looked flawless as a passer, comfortable in the pocket, throwing with anticipation, using his legs, 9 carries, 95 yards. He did everything to help his team win, and they still lost. That's the way I would love to see this thing go down, or as I like to say, that's the way, I like it, that's the way, I like it, ooh, ooh. We did what we had to do. Daniel Jones looks like a damn hero, and then also, at the same time, he's still a damn loser. I couldn't ask for it to be any better than that. Nobody's blaming Daniel Jones today. And that's the way it should be. Blame Dexter Lawrence. Blame Darius Slayton. Blame Joe Judge. Blame whoever you like. Just leave number 8 out of it. As long as he continues to look like an ass clown against everybody else except us, I'm fine with that. We just got to make sure we win in the process. And we did that. So I hope all is well in New Jersey, and I hope that dysfunction continues to reign over the Giants, and Joe Judge feels like a great Friday, if you ask me. So I'm glad we were able to do you guys a huge solid, drop you to 0-2, make your coach look bad, make your GM look like a clown, and still give you hope because Daniel Jones looked great. Don't you just love when people are so confused they don't know what to do? It's a beautiful thing. Thanks, Emperor Meech. Really do appreciate you. Red Wings 01. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Red Wings 01 writes, I knew that Chase Hainsworth comp I made last night was dumb, and I removed that super chat before you read it. I didn't realize it still went through till next morning. I was being a drama queen. It's all good, man. No, you were frustrated because the lack of production, and you're not the only one. I answered at least 3 or 4 super chats throughout the night that are like, hey, when are we going to start holding these defensive ends accountable? You know what was crazy? Montez Sweat was credited with the sack last night. I don't recall him bagging Daniel Jones, but then I thought about it. There was that one play where Jones dropped back. There was pressure in the first half. He tried to run. He didn't make it back to the line of scrimmage. Sweat was the one that got to him. So he was credited with his 4th straight game with at least 1 sack. So good for Montez Sweat to get on the board. Well, actually, he got a sack in week 1 as well. So he's got 2 on the season. But Young, wasn't as productive, hasn't been as productive this year. I don't think he has a sack this season yet. And so, yeah, it's a little frustrating. But again, patience is a virtue. He's going to be fine. I'm not worried. The guy is a beast of a football player. And like I said, the one thing I can always count on, and this is what I love about Chase Young, you're going to get maximum effort from the guy. A lot of people asking, why is he out of the game? Why is he tapping out? Because the guy plays 1,000,000 miles per second on every single snap. And I just absolutely love that about Chase Young. So he'll be fine. He'll figure it out. He'll start to get to the quarterback. I'm not worried. But, that was something that people were concerned about. And I get it. This is a guy that we had high hopes for this year, that he was going to take this massive 2nd-year leap. He still could do that. And I still expect him to do that. But it's been a slow start. But I wouldn't be shocked if, next week at Buffalo, Josh Allen is running around and Chase gets him twice. I wouldn't be shocked. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I still got that super chat. I definitely still got it. Red Wing 01, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Red Wing 01, who writes, anyway, do you think our secondary is suffering from having so many new parts in need to find chemistry? What adjustments need to be made for the D? I just think it's early, and you hit it right on the head. It's pretty much a brand new secondary. Like, just look at it like this. Benjamin St. Juste, our third round rookie, is out there at one starting corner, and William Jackson III is out there at the other starting corner. So essentially, your two boundary corners were not here a season ago with Washington. So you got two brand new boundary corners. Kendall Fuller, who hasn't played primarily nickel corner since back with Washington, is playing essentially nickel for us since 2018, I think, was when we traded for Alex Smith. So this is the first time he's pretty much been primarily a nickel corner since 2018. So that's a new role for him, even though he's played it before. He hasn't played it as often. Didn't really do it with the Chiefs and didn't do it with us at all really last year. So he's getting reacclimated to inside. I told you, inside is a different animal. It's not like outside. Totally different. And everybody's not built for inside work. So he's got to readjust to playing inside. And once he gets, remember that first year when he was here in Washington, he struggled inside. It was the second year where we said, okay, he's got it now. He's figured it out. So it may take a little while for him to adjust being inside. Once he gets back into the rhythm and flow of being inside as a nickel, he's going to be a beast because we know he's capable of doing that. Then you got another brand new addition to the secondary in Bobby McCain. He's playing a ton of snaps for us at safety. So that's another guy that's coming in. Landon Collins missed pretty much, 2/3 of the season last year with a torn Achilles. He's back in the mix. There was a miscommunication, as he mentioned, and I told you, I think Landon was at fault with that miscommunication between him and William Jackson. And Landon acknowledged that after the game at the podium. And so, again, lot of communication, lot of moving parts. Everything has to settle. You can't expect these guys to just gel right off the bat. You don't know where this guy's going to be because you haven't had enough reps with these players that are next to you. We need to tighten up our zone coverage, and guys need to understand, do your job, be where you're supposed to be, and everything will take care of itself. When they can start trusting the man next to them, this defense will be even better. So I think the secondary, much like, the rest of the defense, is coming along. It's just taking a little bit longer than we hoped. We wanted them to jump right in and pick up where they left off last year, and that wasn't the case. And it hasn't been to this point, and that's okay. They're going to be fine defensively. I'm not worried. I'm not panicking. I'll tell you when I will start to panic, and it's not against Buffalo. If we get shredded by the Bills, I'm not going to be shocked because they're capable of doing it. It's the following week against Atlanta. If they continue to struggle, and we'll see what they do against Tampa this week. I don't expect them to find a way to get into an offensive rhythm against the Buccaneers, but they may. It's family business. And then the following week, they've got the Giants on the road. If they don't find a way to get out of their funk in those next two games, then they better not find a way to get out of it against us. Or then I'll really have some serious issues because now we're a month into the season. No excuses at that point. So the first 2 weeks, and remember, we're not like everybody else. We didn't play a game in week 1 and then have another full week to prepare and then play a game in week 2. We literally played 2 games in 5 days after not playing our starters in the preseason for much of any time. So you played 2 games in 5 days to start the season off after really not playing with your starters at all in the preseason. These are bumps in the road that you expect. So we'll see if they work out some of these kinks. I expect them to look a lot sharper on both sides of the football against Buffalo because now you've got more time to prepare. You've played with these guys. You've got a lot of film to assess and be able to break down and figure out what things went right, what things went wrong. And so I think you'll start to see a lot more adjustments made and guys starting to feel a lot more comfortable playing on both sides of the football. So that's the way I see it. We'll see what happens, though. Thank you for the super chat and doubling up Red Wings 01. Jason Rogers, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Jason Rogers writes, don't know if you spoke on this yesterday, but what was up with calling a pass on the 2nd and 7 with Gibby running the rock well on that drive? Yeah, we talked about that numerous times. I didn't have a problem with it. I would have preferred that Scott Turner kept the ball on the ground with Antonio Gibson, but at the end of the day, the goal was to get a first down there. You know, you get a first down, and now the Giants have to start burning their timeouts, and you're pretty much in the driver's seat at that point. So I knew what Scott Turner was trying to do. The Giants were going to be looking for a run, so why not give them a pass? They did throw the football, and honestly, Taylor Heinicke made a bad read, and I talked about that yesterday. One of the super chatters brought that up yesterday and said, "Look, Gibby was open in the flats," and he was, and I definitely second that notion. And I talked about why he threw an interception on that play, because Terry's running a 5-yard stop, okay, and the linebacker got in his way. He had to go around that linebacker, which gave James Bradbury time to come up and jump the route. Had Taylor Heinicke understood, well, if Terry's going around his linebacker, that linebacker can't be out there covering Antonio Gibson. It's an easy dump down into the flats. Gibson probably picks up the first down. Easy. So, again, it's just repetition. If he gets that look again and it's man-to-man and he sees that linebacker is busting his ass to try to get out there, he'll know. Just dump it down to 24 in the flats and let him do the rest. So, it wasn't a bad play call. It actually was a good play call for the defense the Giants were in. He just made a poor read. It's going to happen. And unfortunately, it did happen. Fortunately enough for us, we were able to get the stop defensively, get the football back, and move it down the field and get into field goal range and ultimately win the game. But I didn't have a problem with it. I would have preferred they kept it on the ground. But 2nd down and 7, if you run it, like, I'll give you an example of why it was a good idea to throw it there. The Giants, after that play, picked it off, right? So they go on the offensive side of the football. If they pick up one first down, they're going to beat us, because then we got to burn all 3 of our timeouts. And more likely than not, because we had already used 2 of them, mind you, they pick up that first down. Now they're gonna run one play. We're gonna use our final timeout, and then they're gonna run 2 plays, eat up a minute and 20 seconds off the clock. That's going to leave us with roughly 30 some odd seconds. They're going to kick the field goal, and they're going to probably beat us in the game. More likely than not. So they ran it on first down. They ran it on 2nd down. And what did that set up? 3rd and 7. Now, again, we were having more success on the ground than they were. You know, when you look at the stats, it doesn't necessarily bear that out. But keep in mind, Daniel Jones had 95 yards rushing on the day. Okay, that's where the bulk of their rush yards came from. When you talk about Saquon Barkley and you talk about Devontae Booker, we pretty much bottled those guys up. So we were having a little bit more success, but the bottom line is they were predictable. First down, they ran it. 2nd down, they ran it. And then they tried to throw it on 3rd and long, and they failed. They had to settle for the field goal. We were trying to be a little bit more proactive. Run on first down. They think we're running on 2nd down. Switch it up, throw it, and let's see if we can't either get it to 3rd and 1 or 2 or pick up the first down. And unfortunately, again, Taylor Heinicke made the wrong read. It's all good. But I didn't think it was a bad decision. But you can look at it either way you like. But I didn't think it was a bad decision at all. Got another super chat. This is from my guy, Emperor Meech again. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Emperor Meech. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Emperor Meech writes, watching the Giants organization fail is beautiful right now. Teams need to keep it up and giving them L's. I just want to watch the world burn. You have been on this trail and path of Giants destruction despite being a massive Giants fan, but I know what you're doing. In your mind, in order for you guys to build it up the right way, you must first tear it down. So I know what you're trying to do, but I don't know if it's going to happen the way you want it to or not. Now, it's heading that way with Joe Judge and his theatrics in the offseason and now starting 0-2 again. It's heading that way, but still a lot of football left to be played. 15 games still left on the slate, and you do happen to play in one of the worst divisions still, until we prove otherwise in football. This is going to be a big week in really determining how good or bad the NFC East is, because if Dallas loses to the Chargers and drops to 0-2, if the Eagles lose to the 49ers and drop to 1-1, here we go again. 2 1-1 teams, 2 0-2 teams. All of a sudden, the NFC East still looks like it's straight garbage again. But if the Eagles find a way to beat the 49ers, or Dallas beats the Chargers, all of a sudden the division doesn't look as bad because now you got 3 1-1 teams or 2-0 and 2 1-1 teams, and then the Giants bringing up the rear at 0-2. So it's just, this is going to be a week where I really start to kind of get a feel for this division. Okay, what are we really? If Dallas goes to Los Angeles and does what we weren't able to do, okay, Dallas is as advertised, they're going to be a really good team this year. Despite losing DeMarcus Lawrence for an extended period of time, they still found a way to go out there and get the dub up off the Chargers. They're 1-1 now, and now you got Philadelphia next week. I want to say it's on Sunday Night Football, so that's a big showdown between either the 2-0 Eagles and the 1-1 Cowboys, or the 1-1 Eagles and the 1-1 Cowboys, or the 1-1 Eagles and the 0-2 Cowboys. Either way, it's going to be a big game. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this week shapes out, because it's really going to start to point to how the division is going to look. So I said all of that to say you're not out of it, and that's the point that I was trying to make to Washington fans. Had we lost the game at 0-2, you could conceivably look up, and this is why you can't really say it's a beautiful thing, because you're playing the Falcons next week. You're going to beat the Falcons. I'm telling you right now, you're going to get your first win next week, and what's going to happen is you may look up. Washington could go to Buffalo next week and lose. Dallas could go to Los Angeles this week, lose, drop to 0-2. The Eagles could lose to the 49ers, drop to 1-1. The Cowboys then beat the Eagles next week on Sunday night. Both of those teams are now 1-2, and you beat the the Falcons, and you're in the first place tie. And just like that, your world is no longer burning. The sky is no longer falling in New York, and you're in a four-way tie for first place. And don't you just love the NFC East? So you can't be but so excited right now. You got to see how everything shakes out before you say, okay, yeah, we suck ass and the rest of the division is taking care of business. That's what you want if you really want to crumble and collapse. But this division keeps everybody alive. You know how it goes. Everybody gets a turn. I don't think you're dead yet, is what I'm essentially trying to tell you. Got another super chat. This one is from Niners Fan. Thank you for the super chat, Niners Fan. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, apologizing for my slander yesterday. No need to apologize. You said what you said. You felt how you felt. I was being petty. I probably should apologize to you because you're my guy. And I know you didn't mean any ill will. You just watched the game. You're giving an unbiased, objective opinion. And I was in my feelings. I was feeling good after a win, and you pretty much tried to rain on my parade. And so I was feeling some type of way about that. I was probably being a little too sensitive. So you shouldn't be apologizing. I don't like when people apologize for saying things. So mistakes were probably made on both of our parts. Honestly, but you don't need to apologize. I probably don't need to apologize. What was said was said. It's all good. I don't feel any type of way about you. You're my guy still, okay? Trust me. You don't have to apologize because maybe Louie doesn't like me anymore. No, I've got thick skin, okay? Now, I can be petty. I can be very, very petty. But it doesn't change the way I feel about you. You're still my guy. And I know anytime I want to talk 49ers ball, or you guys are on primetime television and I'm on live afterwards, I know I'm going to see you and you're going to give me a great take on your football team. So I don't have any ill will towards you. So you don't have to apologize. But he says, congrats on the dub. I appreciate that. He says, was salty because our O was trash against y'all last year while Daniel Jones tears you apart. So you harboring feelings from last year. I'm like, hey, that. First of all, that was Nick Mullins, man. You can't hold that against us. That was Nick Mullins. We were supposed to tear him to shreds, okay? Had you had Jimmy Garoppolo, that's a different game, but you didn't. So it's all good, man. We have our struggles with Daniel Jones for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it, but that guy plays his best brand of ball against us, and it's not even close. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show, but believe me when I tell you, it's all good, man. It's all love. Trust me. Got one here from Big Money Sonny. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Big Money Sonny writes, Lou, king of the super chat last night. Salutes. Hey, look, man, it was raining, but you knew what it was going to be. I mean, everybody was excited. It was a hell of a ball game. And so everybody had their take. Everybody had something to say. We all were going through it last night because if you watched that game, then you were on the edge of your couch. You were on the edge of your seat. You were standing up. You were yelling. You were screaming. You wanted to throw something at the TV. A lot of people said they wanted to punch their TV. I'm like, hey, don't break any electronic devices over this team, please. But it was that kind of game because you thought you won and you thought you lost and you thought you won and you thought you lost and you really thought you had won and then you really thought you were going to lose the game after he missed the field goal, and then to find out you get another chance and then to win, that euphoria of that moment, it's hard to really put that into words, but it was a great feeling nonetheless. And again, it's only a regular season game and week 2 at that, but you hear this, it's cliche, you hear it all the time, but it's so true. And we don't play in the league, but we're fans and we ride this roller coaster with the players and the coaches and all of the people in the organization. It's so hard to win in the NFL. It really is. And when you get one, it's precious. But more importantly, when you win in the division, when you beat a family member, especially one that has had your number, like the Giants had ours, for me, it was a little bit extra because I guaranteed a victory. I put my neck out on the line. So when I do things like that, I just always tell the fellas, I don't do it very often. But when I do, I need y'all to come through for the kid. And they did it last year, and they did it again last night. And so that was pretty big for sure. Thank you for the super chat. Big money, Sonny. Got another one here from Jay Will. Thank you for the super chat. Jay Will, greatly appreciate you. My guy Jay Will writes, Louie, what do you think? I think Jamin Davis should be moved outside so he can get out of traffic. Bostic moved back inside, in my opinion. I don't think they want him to be an outside backer. Now, they've trained him to play at all 3 positions. That's what they want him to be, versatile enough. So if they have an injury and they need to move him, because let's say Bostic gets hurt, and I'm going to knock on some wood. I don't want that to happen. But let's just say, for the sake of this discussion, that, Bostic goes down. And what you would then do at that point, because you don't want to bring Khaleke Hudson in as an outside linebacker. Khaleke Hudson is penciled in as our backup middle linebacker. So he's more comfortable in the middle. So at that point, instead of shifting Khaleke Hudson to a position he's uncomfortable with, which is outside linebacker, which is the weak linebacker position, the will, which is where Bostic is playing right now, instead of doing that, you would then say, you know what? Jamin, you go over to the will. Khaleke, you slide in to the mic, and we're going to keep the party going. That's how they would do it. So that's why they've taught, and the same thing would happen if Cole Holcomb, something were to happen to him. You could slide Jamin over there, and you could bring in, Khaleke Hudson as your middle linebacker, and you could keep the party going. So, again, I don't think they ultimately want Jamin Davis as, one of their outside backers. They want him to be in control of this defense. They want him to learn this defense through and through so that he can get guys lined up, so that he can make the calls, so that he can be a leader on the field, so that he can be on the field for 100% of the defensive snaps and not have to come off the field like he currently is having to do because he's not ready to take on that full plate and leadership role as the signal caller for the defense. He's not ready to wear that green dot. I think they're more comfortable with John Bostic communicating the defense right now, and that's understandable. Bostic's a 7-8 year vet in this league. Meanwhile, Jamin Davis is playing in just his second NFL game of his career. So that's not a surprise. They want to continue to see his development and his growth as a linebacker, and then when they're comfortable, and I told you guys before the season, I don't expect that to happen until sometime midpoint, maybe latter half of the season. And then I think they're starting to get more comfortable. He played more snaps in week 2 than he did in week 1, albeit still only 40% of the snaps or whatever. Maybe it was a little bit more than that. But at the end of the day, he's coming along. He made a big stop on a 3rd down where they trusted him to be on the field instead of John Bostic. They came out in one possession with us in dime package with 6 defensive backs, 4 defensive linemen, and 1 linebacker. And guess who the 1 linebacker was? Jamin Davis. So they're putting him in different positions to see how he's going to react. I like that they're doing that. So they're getting more and more comfortable, and he's getting more and more acclimated. So it's only a matter of time before he's able to take over that full workload. Thank you for the super chat. Cruising 26, my guy Cruising 26, good to hear from you. Thank you for the super chat. Who writes, "You're so lucky, but my boy DJ is improving." That's the kind of comment I want to hear right there. That is the exact comment that I want. I don't want what Emperor Meech is talking about because he wants to blow it all up. He wants to start anew. I don't want Daniel Jones going anywhere. I don't want him going anywhere. We're going to talk about why a little bit later on in this show, but that's exactly what I want to hear. DJ's improving, but with a loss. Improve with a loss. That's what I want to hear. Thank you for that super chat. Cruising. And I'll take luck. All right. I'll take luck. Right place, right time. Being prepared to receive the luck. I'll take it. Thank you. Emperor Meech. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for tripling up. My guy Emperor Meech writes, oh, it's working because the fan base, they're tired. Well, look at the comment right before yours. There are some out there that feel exactly like that. And that is, my friend, the definition of a confused fan base. You've got some that want to tear it down and build it up like you. And then you got some like cruising out there that think, my boy DJ is getting it. He's close. And there's some out there that think, hey, this Joe Judge fella, he's going to turn things around. You guys just wait. Give him a chance. As long as there are so many different factions, you guys won't know where to turn. And that, my friends, is why I love what is going on. And things are going to get more complicated because you're going to win in week 3. Now, if you really want this thing to go to shit, lose to the Falcons in week 3. That would definitely send you into a tailspin because the Falcons stink. And if you drop to 0-3 after losing to the 0-2 Falcons, then at home, no less, then you can start talking about, yeah, sky's falling. Everything around me is on fire. And you could sit down in the middle of that fire doing yoga. But you in order to get to that nirvana, you would have to lose to the Falcons in week 3 and drop to 0-3 to the previously winless 0-2 Falcons. And I don't see you guys doing that. I don't. So we'll see what happens. Jason Rogers, thank you for the super chat. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Jason Rogers, greatly appreciate you. My guy Jason writes, thanks for making it make sense, Lou. Always. That's what I try to do. You know the 3 E's, right? Enlighten, educate, and entertain. That's what I try to do. So anytime I can try and do that, it doesn't always work, right? But I try, and that's all I can do. So I'm here for you, man. Just like you guys are here for me. So you guys make things make sense for me as well. So it's a mutually beneficial relationship. And I just try to reciprocate the energy. That's it. Thank you for the super chat, Jason Rogers. Cruising 26. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Cruising 26. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Cruising 26 writes, good for you, but I'm thin-skinned and I hate you right now. I still got love for you, Cruising 26, even if you ain't feeling me right now. I know what it's all about, man. And I would have probably been feeling the same way today if the roles were reversed and the shoe was on the other foot. So I know where you're coming from. I wouldn't have hated you, but I would have been like, man, Cruiser, get the hell out of my face right now, man. I don't want to talk to you. Nah, I wouldn't have done that. But no, I know where you're coming from. He says, LOL, psych. I've been rocking with you since 2015, man. It's all love. I know where you're coming from, man. You my guy, man. So it's definitely all love for sure. Cruising 26. Got another super chat here from Jackass in the Box. Thank you for the super chat, Jackass in the Box, who writes, hey, Lou, did you see that Jamin Davis was the highest graded defensive player by PFF? Keep up the great work, my man. No, I didn't see that. I'm not a big PFF guy. I try to stay away from them, even though I think they've gotten better with their grading system over the last 2 or 3 years. I still don't really subscribe to what they're selling. I let everybody else do the PFF thing. I trust my eyes and what I see, and I just go off of that. But, feel free to, go off of the PFF stuff because most people do. I'm an outlier in that regard. I'm probably out on an island, by myself or only with a select few people, but that's fine. I don't mind. PFF seems to be a trusted, well-regarded source that people love to go to, and that's fine. I don't really care what PFF is talking about. But to your point, and this is what the point you're trying to make, is that he's improving, and he got a high grade, which means he's getting better. And my eyes tell me that. And I told you guys after the game that the fact that they put him in more situations that were unique than we saw in week 1 means they're getting more confidence in him and more comfortable putting him on the field. And I'm talking about, you can't get more uncomfortable than a 3rd down and goal from the 7-yard line. It wasn't 3rd and goal. It was 3rd and 7 from about the 9-yard line. Giants could pick up a 1st down if they were able to get to the 2-yard line. And Jameis and the guy that was literally killing us, similar to Keenan Allen in week 1, Sterling Shepard, is one-on-one with Jamin Davis in the slot, and he runs a whip route, and Jamin Davis is like, are you done yet? Had that been Bostic would have went flying outside. He would have went inside, and he would have walked in the end zone. Jamin Davis stayed there, watched him the whole time, said, are you done yet? And then he caught the ball, and he tackled him 3 yards short of the 1st down, and they had to settle for a field goal. I said, that play was so good, I wanted to jump through the TV and slap him on his helmet and say, hell of a play, man. So he's improving, man. And there were a couple of hits, one on Saquon Barkley rating a hole for no gain. And I'm saying, who the hell was that truck? It was Jamin Davis. So he's coming downhill now, too. He's starting to fire the weapon. I'm telling you, it's starting to slow down for him. It's going to take a while for him to get everything, but it's starting to slow down for him. That is for sure. So thank you for that super chat, Jackass in the Box. Simon Z, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Simon Z, who writes, congrats on the dub, bud. Pain for me, but lots of games left. Indeed. I appreciate the tremendous sportsmanship. Really appreciate it, Simon. And again, that's what I was trying to explain to everyone that felt like if we didn't win the game, that it was over. I'm like, nah, not exactly. And I just explained how the Giants can get right back into this thing. And I explained the same thing for Washington fans. It's a lot harder for us because our week 3 opponent is Buffalo on the road. Yours is home for Atlanta. So I said the Giants don't need this game. They want it because they can go home and win next week and be tied for first place, depending on how the rest of the division goes over the next week and a half. You know, if the scenarios play out the way that I said, you know, Eagles lose to the 49ers, Cowboys lose to the Chargers, and then the Cowboys beat the Eagles next week, and we lose to the Bills next week, and you beat the Falcons, everybody's 1-2 in the division. You're in first place. So the sky is not falling. It is not all gloom and doom. This division stinks. Until they prove otherwise, this division stinks, and everybody's got a shot until they don't. So you're right. 15 games left on the slate. You got nothing to really worry about yet, but you never want to be down 0-2. That's never a comfortable place to be. But if anybody's comfortable being down 0-2, it's the Giants, right? Right. So thank you for the super chat, Simon Z. Got another one here from Silver V. My guy, Silver Villains, greatly appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat, who writes, am I alone in thinking that Heineke will get the Derek Carr, we can do better treatment instead of the Ryan Tannehill, we believe in you treatment next season or this season and next? I think that's a great way to look at it, Silver V, because I think it's one or the other. I think you are absolutely spot on. Now, which one is Taylor Heineke going to force the hand of? See, this is the thing. Derek Carr has never forced Raiders fans to love him. Why? Because he's never taken his team to the playoffs, and they've never won a game with Derek Carr. See, Derek Carr had that magical 2015 season, I believe it was, either 15 or 16. I think it was 15. And then he gets injured. Might have been 16. Whatever the case. Then he gets injured. And they have to settle for Connor Cook starting against the Texans, and they lose. So he didn't even get to bask in the glory of saying, I did this, I took us to the playoffs, and now let's play this playoff game and see what we can get done. So they always look at Derek Carr and say he's not good enough. We haven't won enough ball games. He's never taken us to the playoffs. He's not good enough. Whereas Ryan Tannehill comes in with the Titans. They're starving for a quarterback after Mariota's failed experiment. He comes in, not only do they win, but they win big. They get all the way to the AFC Championship. How are you replacing a guy after he takes you to the AFC Championship? Now, you could argue, hey, look, man, the guy was simply a passenger on that ride to the AFC Championship. The guy threw literally, 9 passes or whatever it was in the wild card win over the New England Patriots. I think he threw 12 passes the following week against the Ravens. And then, when they needed him to step up and outdo Mahomes and company on the road in the championship game, he wasn't able to do it. But then again, who really is? So they felt like, oh, yeah, we got the guy. Because he won playoff games. It's different when you go to the playoffs and you win playoff games. Honestly, it boils down to what Taylor Heinicke does. How many ball games does he win? Because this league is a results-based league. So if he wins football games, they're going to probably ante up and say, hey, we can win with this guy. He's got to stay healthy, number one. Number two, he's got to win football games and play at a high level while doing so. If he doesn't, if he's good, but the team isn't great, they're going to think they can do better. So he'll get the Derek Carr treatment. If he's excellent, this team wins 10, 11 games, this team wins the division, this team wins a playoff game, he's going to get the Ryan Tannehill treatment. So I think that's a great way to put it, Silver V, and that's exactly how it's going to go, one way or the other. Right now, until he proves otherwise, it's going to go the Derek Carr route, where they may even still try to replace him with Ryan Fitzpatrick when he gets healthy. He's going to have to win. He's already won his teammates over. He's already checked that box. I still think he has to win the coaching staff over. So if he can do that in the next 6 weeks or so before Ryan Fitzpatrick is ready to go and cleared for play, then he may be able to wrestle the job away from him on a permanent basis. And then, to me, I don't understand what the purpose of going back to Ryan Fitzpatrick would be when you got an opportunity to assess Taylor Heinicke, which is what I thought they should have done from the jump anyway, to see if this guy can be a starter or not. Like, everyone was intrigued after the Tampa Bay game, so why not just let him play, right? So it took an injury for him to get this opportunity, but now he's got it. And I think he's going to take the bull by the horns and seize this opportunity. But how much does he have to do to get the staff to understand that this is the best option you have and maybe the best option for the future moving forward? I don't know. That remains to be seen, but I can tell you he took a great step in the right direction in week 2 versus the Giants. So that was a great comment, Silver V. DSUAVEHP. Yeah, that's a mouthful. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. And I'm pretty sure there's a way to say that. D Suave HP, maybe? Or D Suave HP. Anyway, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Landon Collins and John Bostic are huge liabilities for our pass D. What changes could we make in your opinion? Bostic definitely a liability. He's physically limited in what he can do. He's a solid athlete. He's not a great athlete. He can't afford to take a misstep or, fall behind. Like, he made Caden Smith, the Giants' third string tight end, look like he was Evan Ingram last night. I mean, he took one false step and Caden Smith smoked him up the seam. Like, come on, dude, you can't keep up with Caden Smith. Landon Collins, I was so frustrated with him last night. I was done. But I was in my feelings. I was really, really reactionary last night. I was over the top, and it's only 2 weeks. He's coming, and I said this last night, after initially railing on him. I think somebody else brought up a comment later, and I cooler heads finally prevailed, and I was like, look, the dude's coming off of ACL or Achilles surgery. Generally, you're not yourself that first year back from Achilles surgery. It's the second year that you're fully yourself. He just looked so good in the preseason that I said, to hell with that notion of you need a year to kind of get your legs back under you. He's ready to go now. I need him to be smart. I need him to be heady, right place, right time, making plays. I haven't seen that yet. He was a non-factor in week 1. He was a liability and actually hurt us in week 2. I was really frustrated, but it feels like how we felt about him starting off last year. And then remember, he started to gain confidence and the play started to see an uptick, and then he got injured for the season versus Dallas right before the bye week. So maybe we're going to get an uptick in his play and he's going to start to settle in. Again, the entire secondary is pretty much brand new. So there's a lot of things to iron out. And he's a part of what feels like a new secondary because we didn't have him for much of last year. So I'm going to give him a pass as well and give him time to acclimate himself and integrate himself into this defense again. And I got to give him some slack. It's tough because you want to see plays made, but you got to give these guys opportunities to make plays. You can't just fly off the handle. So I'm more likely to give Landon Collins a little bit of space to try and figure things out. Bostic, on the other hand, you know how I feel about him. He's definitely a liability. I don't want him off the team. I've already said that. He's a great mentor and locker room guy and a great leader. I want him as a backup bench sub type of player. I don't want him starting, which is what he's playing right now, a starting role on this team. I don't want him starting. So, Red Wings 01. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Red Wings 01, writes, I know Jamin is supposed to be our middle linebacker of the future, but his skill set and tape screams off the ball linebacker. I just want to see some reps there, move him around some. I think what you're saying is his coverage skills and his ability to run scream weak side linebacker, and I get that. At the same time, he can do what we see guys like Darius Leonard, the maniac, do in this league. You know, guys like, what's my guy's name from the 49ers? Fred Warner. Like, he's cutting that same mold, same build as those guys, same athletic prowess as those guys. That's what they see in Jamin Davis. He can be Darius Leonard. He can be Fred Warner. That's why they want him inside. Those are game changers. Those are guys that move the needle in this league. They think he can be one of those guys. And so they want to give him an opportunity to be that. So I get where they're coming from. And where you'll start to see some of that weak side linebacker ability that you're talking about is when we get into nickel. When he's got to cover the tight end, when he's got all of that space over the middle of the football field in zone coverage, that's when you'll start to see that ability that you're referring to. And I can't wait to see that, because I think where we get hurt in zone coverage a lot of times is our linebackers taking poor drops, our linebackers not having the feel for space and having the ability to be comfortable out in space to where they can play a guy and also track the football. Like we lack in that department. So we'll always struggle because we don't have a linebacker right now in the middle of our defense that's comfortable in space. That's where Jamin Davis will come in and really boost this defense in the passing department in particular. So his skill set does scream off the ball linebacker as a will, but they see him as a Fred Warner and a Darius Leonard type. And I see that too. More so Darius Leonard than Fred Warner, but they see that. And if he can get to that level, he'll change this defense dramatically. So that's why they're going to continue to keep working him. He can only get better if you keep giving him reps at middle linebacker. So that's why they're going to continue to do that. Red Wings 01, thank you for the super chat again. Greatly appreciate you. Red Wings 01 writes, Chargers got a slew of injuries. Cowboy win? I don't know. I don't know who's banged up for the Chargers in particular. I do know the Cowboys are banged up themselves. Remember, they're missing Michael Gallup at the receiver position. They're missing their starting right tackle. What's my man from LSU's name? That got suspended. Can't remember his. Lyle Collins, who got suspended. Then Ty Nsekhe, who is their swing tackle, who would be stepping in for Lyle Collins. He just went to the hospital with heat exhaustion yesterday. He's out for this game. So now they're back to Brandon Knight, who was absolutely hot ass garbage at right tackle against the Chargers, and Joey Bosa. Good luck with that. And oh, by the way, they have no DeMarcus Lawrence. So you talk about the Chargers being banged up. The Cowboys are also banged up as well. So we'll see who's able to win that war of attrition there. Thank you for the super chat, Red Wings 01. Chilled Dude, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Chilled Dude, writes, Sup, Lou? Sup, chill dude? Gonna be really interesting to see who's on top when the smoke clears. NFC East always so dramatic. Yes, it is. This defense is gonna wake up soon. Great job. I feel the same way. Thank you for that. I feel the same way, chill dude. This defense is gonna wake up. Everybody's, again, like I talked about with the Giants, with our fan base, sky's falling, defense is terrible. This defense is not elite. No, it's not elite. And that's the problem. Too many of you thought it was going into the season. I told you guys to pump the brakes and drive slow, homie. Drive slow. Because they got to do it again. And remember, we played against Nick Mullins, and we played against, the Cincinnati Bengals and their backup quarterback last year. We played against, Jalen Hurts in Week 17, and we played against Andy Dalton twice last year. We played against so many bad quarterbacks last season and took advantage of that. That you guys should have known that was fool's gold and that they needed to prove it to you again. And I think what you're seeing right now is the defense trying to find themselves, and they'll figure it out. Too much talent on this team defensively to not figure it out. So I'm not worried. They'll get it together. But as you mentioned, this division is going to be crazy. And I think who stays the healthiest and who can figure it out fastest is going to ultimately win this division. So health is always a big factor when you're talking about the NFL, and I think this division is no different. Who stays the healthiest is ultimately, I think, going to be able to have a big say in who wins this division, and then, who gels and meshes the best throughout the course of the year and finds a way to minimize the mistakes, take advantage of opportunities. That's a team that's going to be able to raise their hand as the victor in this division. Much like your man Louie T, as you see that chip back there in the bat, letting y'all know what's really good. So we'll see who's able to do that for the NFC East this season. Again, long season ahead of us. Big Blue Rising, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Big Blue Rising writes, happy to see you breaking down the NFL, Lou. Best football watcher these eyes have ever seen. Keep it up. And when are my Giants winning, Lou? Next week. You're going to beat the Falcons next week. I feel pretty confident. That's why I said you didn't need that game. You wanted it. You didn't need that one. We needed it. Because if we didn't win, more likely than not, we were dropping to 0-3 going on the road to Buffalo. You're going home to the Falcons. They're fine. So I was like, you're not the more desperate team we are. Because you can go home and win and still be tied for first place depending on how things shake out. Meanwhile, I could lose, drop to 0-3, and I even made the case to Washington fans if we, didn't beat the Giants and then we lost to Buffalo, we could be 0-3 and still one game out of first place, which is the same scenario I just posed to you, getting back into first place at 1-2. So at the end of the day, I'm glad we're not in that position. Don't have to worry about that, and I think your Giants are going to win next week. Your schedule actually softens up quite a bit, and you've got a chance to really get into some things. Let me look at your schedule real quick. I'm pretty sure, I'm not tripping, you've got some really winnable games over the next 5 weeks. I think you've got like 3 out of those 5 games. I look at, and again, it's early in the season, hard to say who you should or shouldn't beat, but I think I looked at your schedule, and over the next few weeks, you've got some winnable games. I lied. Never mind. Falcons in week 3, Saints in week 4. That's a winnable game, even though I don't know if you'll win that one. Giants, Cowboys the following week on the road. Rams after that, ouch. Panthers, that's a winnable game, but I think they're going to be better than people think. Then the Chiefs, then the Raiders, then the Bucks. Never mind. Yeah, that could get really ugly really fast. Never mind. You're going to win. At least you won't be one of those teams that we're 5 weeks into the season and you haven't won a game. You'll take care of that in week 3. Don't ask me what happens after that, though. Saints on the road. Ugh, that's tough. The following week after that, I think you got the Cowboys, and after that, you got the Rams. Ouch. Then the Chiefs and the Raiders and the Bucks. Woo! You better watch yourself. Y'all better start winning some games. I think you will in week 3, though. Anyway, I digress. Let's see. Kevin, the PRF, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Want to take this time to thank every single member of the MOBB that's out there watching this video. Stand up. We in a building as always. Really appreciate all of you who are watching. I see we got a very hefty crowd tonight. Over 300 of y'all watching the pod right now, and that's awesome. Hit that like button if you haven't already done so. to continue to support the Louie T Network and get those likes up, man. Really do appreciate y'all. We're over 100, so I love that fact that I don't have to beg to get it up over 100. That's awesome. Let's keep hitting that like button if you haven't already done so. My guy Kevin, the PRF, writes, I didn't see the game. Did Pittsburgh give the Washington football team any playbook material, or was Buffalo just off? Buffalo was off. I think you will get a better gauge of what to expect, because I think we're more similar to Miami than we are Pittsburgh. So this is a good game to watch because it's family business. The Dolphins know the Buffalo Bills very well, and I think they're going to give us more of a blueprint than Pittsburgh did. You know, Pittsburgh literally blocked a kick on special teams, returned that for a touchdown. The Buffalo Bills went for it on fourth down 3 times when they did not have to. They failed on 2 of those 3 fourth down attempts. That put them in a tough spot, gave the Steelers life. Josh Allen fumbled the football while he was rushing, which he does very often. That's his one, I think, bugaboo. And the biggest drawback to him is that he doesn't have great ball security. He fumbled the ball. The Steelers recovered that. So it was just a slew of errors on the part of the Bills, giving the Steelers every opportunity. Josh Allen had Emmanuel Sanders open for a touchdown, overshot him by about 1.5 yards. So just too many missed opportunities, too many mistakes. They asked to lose that game, and the Steelers were like, shit, if you're going to give it to us, fine, we'll take it. And they ultimately did. So I don't think there's much you can glean from that. I think you'll get a better sense of what you need to do against them watching this game against Miami this week. But we'll see. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Fat American, writes, Yo, Lou, what up? Fat American, he says, what is up with our defense? Is it play calling, bad scheme, lack of communication? Does our defense just suck? Is our D-line undersized? None of the above. I think we're fine. I think there are times where Jack Del Rio can be a little bit more aggressive. I brought this up last night. The very first play of the fourth quarter was the first time that we really decided to heat up Daniel Jones. We bring the blitz, and Kendall Fuller gets a free run at him and sacks him. You know, like, I'm not saying blitz all the time. That's not the way to go about it. Ask the Baltimore Ravens. You know, deciding to go zero blitz every snap will get you beat eventually. I'm not saying do that, but you got to mix it up. Similar to what I said about Scott Turner, just having a better feel for the game and knowing when. And look, Jack Del Rio knows his players better than we do. We think we know every damn thing from the couch. He was watching these guys in practice every day, and he knows what buttons to push and when to push them. And he's been successful as a defensive coordinator in this league. That's why I trust him wholeheartedly. That said, I do think that sometimes he puts more trust in his defensive line than maybe he should be right now because of the lack of pressure they're getting. You know, last year we could just rush forward and we were hitting home. So you didn't have to blitz. You could sit back, play zone coverage behind your 4 guys, drop 7 in the coverage, and feel good about that. This year, the front 4 isn't hitting home yet. So until they start to really get lathered up and start to really make quarterbacks sweat back there in the pocket, you got to start being a little bit more aggressive. And I talked about what a wise man once told me. You start with 4. If 4 can't get it done, you add another rusher and you go with 5. If 5 can't get it done, then you add another guy and you go with 6. After 6, that's when you start to really say, all right, if we can't hit home with 6, we've got a problem and we got to go back to the drawing board, because when you start sending 7 guys, now it's literally zero coverage, man across the board. And if one guy gets beat or one tackle is broken, it's 6. When you bring 6, you got that safety still back there. And it's not, unless there are 5 and it's an empty set, and you're not going to get an empty set against a 6-man pressure. So you can still have that safety back there, and there's still one, deep guy, one last line of defense back there. But you go 7, that's the kitchen sink. There's no turning back now. You go with 7 rushers, it's one-on-one across the board, and if one tackle is broken, it's 6. So you got to be careful when you decide to do that. And I think I don't think we need to necessarily rush 6, 5. Add one more guy to the rush. And that's what they did. They brought Kendall Fuller off the edge. They might have brought another guy up the middle, but Fuller and they did a great job of really overloading the left side of the offense, right side of the defense. And Chase Young took an outside approach that forced the tackle to fan out and take Chase Young, and that allowed that window for Fuller to come off the edge, get the sack, and then that running back tried to come over. He came over too late. Fuller was able to get the sack before he could get the block. So sometimes you just got to mix it up. Is this defense bad right now? No, it's not playing up to its full potential, but we know they have talent. So they're going to be fine. I think what we've seen thus far is a defense that's still trying to figure it out. 2 games in 5 days, and you didn't have success in week 1, and you didn't have a lot of time to fix all of the errors that you made in week 1, and you get a quick turnaround, and really you just got to go out and just play ball. And that's what they did. And when I look back at the game, because I've watched some more of it again, they didn't play as bad as I thought. We got, especially in the first half, we actually got pressure in the first half. The second half was the half that really pissed me off, because the first half, they moved it right down the field in the first possession. They scored a touchdown. They move it down the field on the second possession, but then we get the sack on Daniel Jones and force them to have to punt the football. So we bailed selves out with the sack. Then we settled in, and then the Giants got the big run from Daniel Jones. But we settled in the first half, and we got pressure on Jones, and we hit Daniel Jones, and we made him uncomfortable a little bit. In the second half, they got into a rhythm, and we couldn't stop them. And they were really good on first and second down. And that was what was problematic for me, is that we would kick the football because it was tit for tat. They would score, we would score. They would score, we would score. They would score, we would score. So it was constant kickoffs. There weren't any punts really in the second half. So it was pissing me off because we kicked the ball out of the back of the end zone, touchback. They started the 25. The very first snap, it's a gain of 16. They're out to the 41. Come on, man. Shit. This is getting out of control. Every possession it was like this. He dropped back on first down, and 17-yard gain, they're out to the 42. 22-yard gain, they're out to 47, damn near midfield, on one play. Like, can we at least get a couple of snaps from the 27, the 28, 3-yard gain on first down? Nope. We're giving up 17 on first down. That was frustrating. Because even if they have to punt now, which they never did, they're going to flip field position. So that was frustrating. I said all of that to say this. It's too early to declare this defense terrible or the play calling or this or that. Everybody's still getting into a rhythm. That includes Jack Del Rio. There's a lot of moving parts, almost a brand new secondary. You got a new linebacker in there in Jamin Davis that you're trying to work into the mix. The defensive line, that's the problem I think that most of us have, is that they're the one group that hasn't seen change. That's the one group we were hanging our hat on that was going to come in and dominate while everybody else was trying to figure it out. While the back seven was trying to figure out what they were going to do and how they were going to mesh together and gel, the front four was supposed to be locked in because those guys have done it for multiple years with one another. And we haven't gotten that yet. And that's the frustrating part. But we will. And I'm confident that we will. So, anyway, I digress. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Fat American, who writes, starting to think Collins got to go. He says, I don't know. I talked about Landon Collins already. I'm going to give him a little bit of space to breathe. I mean, I was really on top of him, hard and heavy, last night. And I think the guy's coming off of an Achilles. It's a brand new secondary. You're trying to fit these pieces together. You played 2 games in 5 days. Hard to make adjustments when you got a quick turnaround like we did. So I think you get back to a level of normalcy starting with week 3 and moving forward. And remember, and somebody brought this up. I want to say it was my guy. Shucks. Oh, man. I can see his avatar, his thumbnail. I can't think of his name. But he brought it up, and it was a great point. He said that do you think we overlooked the Chargers because we were preparing for the Giants as well in going into week 1? And I was like, nah, I don't think we overlooked the Chargers, but I do think having to prepare for 2 teams at once essentially did hurt us. Because you know the expression, if you're good at a bunch of things, you're not great at any one thing. And I felt like we didn't get to focus in and lock in on one team, preparing for one team, because we had to prepare for 2 in week 1. Now, we had more time to do it, but Mike Lowry was the one that said that to me. And I said, I don't think that we overlooked the Chargers, but I do think it did impact our preparation for the Chargers. I think it did the same thing for the Giants as well. Because you don't have a long time. They literally had to prepare for the Chargers, but also one eye on the Chargers, but also the other eye had to be on the Giants, because it's a quick turnaround. It's not a normal week of practice. We got to turn around. We got to flip the script, 4 days later and play the Giants. So I think now that you get to a regular schedule where you play games a week, apart, I think they can get back to game planning specifically to stop teams, and you can get back to the finer details. And I think they will do that. So as far as Landon Collins is concerned, he's a part of everyone kind of getting their feet wet and getting reacclimated to this defense. So we'll see what happens. Got another super chat here from Bigger TV. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Bigger TV writes, Jack Del Rio, quote, "Hey, Ron, when we get heated seats." Oh, man. Look, at the end of the day, we're going to be just fine. And, it's early. It's not ideal what we've seen from the defense, but it's going to be fine. Everybody's going to be fine, especially this defense. I have not lost confidence in this defense. But I can sense the frustration mounting with the fan base, and I get it, because there was so much expectation for this defense heading into the season. And like I've said, I haven't moved off of the expectations. I still have grandiose expectations for this defense. This wasn't the start I was expecting to get off to, but my expectations haven't changed. I think they're going to be fine, and they're going to start to play better football. D Suave HP, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for the super chat. Who writes, it's D Suave or Suave HP. He said, you got it right, LOL, and I hope our D wakes up sooner rather than later. We face some serious offenses over the next 5 to 6 weeks. Yes, we do. It starts with Buffalo. Atlanta could be a serious offense if we don't, corral them. Obviously, the Saints, we saw what they did to Green Bay. I'm not buying what the Saints are selling yet, though. We'll see what they do in week 2 and moving forward. By the time we get to them, we'll kind of have a better picture of who the Saints are. Obviously, after that, you have the Chiefs. It gets really interesting. Green Bay is not too far there after that. Yeah, it gets serious, man. We got to get on our horse, and we got to get on it pretty quickly and giddy up, because I can tell you, if we can't stop, Daniel Jones and Matt Ryan and, some of these offenses that we think we should be able to slow down. If we can't slow those guys down, what do you think is going to happen when we play these upper echelon quarterbacks like Josh Allen next week and Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, and Patrick Mahomes at home in week 6? Shit could get ugly real quick. So again, the NFC East, the reason I think the division is going to be, not great, and one team I think out of the 4 is going to get to 10, and that team's going to ultimately win the division, is because we play tough divisions this year. We play the AFC West. That's arguably the best division in football. I think there's an argument to be made about the AFC West and the NFC West. But either one of those West divisions, you're in trouble. And then we play the NFC South, which is not a great division, but you don't really know what you're getting yourself into. You got to play Tampa. We know that's a toughie. The Saints might be better than I'm giving them credit for. We'll see. And then I think Carolina is going to be a tough out. I like what Matt Rule's doing. I think Atlanta's the one weak link in that division, but who knows what the hell you're going to get out of the Falcons. That week one could have been a one-off, and they may be better than I think as well. I don't think that's the case, but we'll see. So I think those divisions are going to be really good because they're playing us. So the Chargers may go 3-1 against our division. The Chiefs may go 4-0 against our division. The Raiders may go 2-2, and the Broncos may go 3-1. And if you do that against our division, it's going to make their records in their division that much better. Somebody's got to eat. You either are the predator or the prey. Right now, we look like food. We look like food. We look like the prey. And until we change the narrative, we're going to continue to be the prey. Teams will feast off of our division, get fat off our division, and then that division will have 3 teams with double-digit wins. Why? Because you played the NFC East and you went at 4-0 and 3-1 against that entire division across the board. So, yeah. Shit's going to get serious here in the next 5 or 6 weeks. When you play Kansas City, when you play Green Bay, when you play those types of teams. This is what we asked for. I'm not backing down. You win the division. I already said, with great power comes great responsibility. A wise man once told me that. You want to win a division? All right, that's great power. Here comes the responsibility of winning the division now. Now you got to play some really good teams. Okay? Let's do it. Fat American, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Fat American writes, I'm tired of this Bostic character we have. I know he's here for a while because we have no choice, but what possible scenarios are there to fix middle linebacker? Bro, there's nothing we can do. This is it. You know what the linebacker position looks like, right? We know what we had 4 guys coming into the season when they made the final roster cuts. We know what the linebacker position is. There's no more depth. There's no other guy to put in. It is what it is. So Jamin Davis is your middle linebacker when we're in our base. When we go to nickel, it's John Bostic. It is what it is. We got to deal with it. That's why I don't cry about it anymore. I let y'all do that because I already know what it is. When they decided to go with 4 linebackers, they told you all you needed to know. Stop crying about the linebackers. We rolling with these 4 dudes. That's it. So deal with it. Bigger TV. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Bigger TV. Double up. Thank you for the super chat. And doubling up right. Switch it up real quick. Top 5 MCs. Wow. So you got to remember, I'm in my mid-30s. So you got to keep that in mind when you ask me, like, I know Rakim. I know Big Daddy Kane. I listened to that as a kid, but that's not my era of rap. So you're asking a guy that grew up in the 90s and into the 2000s. So I'm very different, and my ears are different too. So if you're just talking about dudes with just, there's so many different layers to MCs. It's the delivery, it's the cadence, it's the verbal, the way you are able to spit, the substance, your bars, which is the verbal part of it that I was trying to get to. Couldn't really think of how to verbalize it, but your bars is what I was trying to get to. And then I'm more of a conscious rapper type of guy. So I all of that, shit that we got in the 2000s when we started going towards the crunk era, if you will. That ain't my move. But anyway, in no particular order, I'm a Jay-Z guy. I am a Biggie guy. And I'm not a Pac guy. Shoot me. Sorry, I'm not a West Coast guy. I don't like West Coast rap. I don't. I just can't get with it. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't move me. And it is what it is. I'm not a Pac guy. So he wouldn't be in my top 5. But I understand the greatness of Tupac, okay? but he's just not one of my favorite guys. So, again, I'm an East Coast guy too. So there's an East Coast bias there, and I'm willing to admit that. But again, Biggie, Jay-Z, I'll put Andre 3000 against anybody. Eminem in his prime, and I'll take DMX. Those are my 5. But again, there's so many other guys. I love Drake, you know what I mean? But you put him, I think, in a battle with any of those 5 guys that I just mentioned, I think he gets his ass torn to shreds, personally. But anyway, I digress. I mean, it's so many good MCs, man, but those are the 5 that I'm rocking with. Anyway, I digress. Fat American says, what do you think of Logic? Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. I'm not a big fan of Logic. He's okay. I don't have a problem with Logic. I remember Joe Budden was shitting on Logic. I'm like, what did he do to you? You know what I mean? He's cool, but I'm not the biggest Logic fan. But he's not garbage. That's for sure. Anyway, I digress. And hey, Big Pun, he was a beast. I love me some Pun, man. Oh, baby. Love me some Big Pun, man. Sheesh. I mean, you could go with any big. I just feel like Pun, I wish there was some more. I wish there was more. Just like Big L, I wish there was more. I wanted more. I felt cheated and robbed. Anyway, that's another discussion for another day. Let's get to the Gem Droppin Session, shall we? Shit, wow. Let's do it. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T double E. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So last episode, I gave you the 16 teams that lost in week 1, and I asked you which stock you're buying. The stock is low. They lost in week 1. People are down on them. You got a chance to buy it while it's low. Who are you buying? I'm going to flip it on its head today, and we're going to get the 16 teams that won in week 1, and I want to know which stock you're selling. Yeah, they're 1-0. The stock is high. People want to buy. Which one are you getting out of right now? I got 5 teams that I'm selling stock on after week 1. You tell me who you're selling stock on. So I'm going to give you the list of the 16 winners, and then I'm going to go through them one by one and tell you if I'm buying or I'm going to remain with the stock or am I going to sell it, move on from it. So Tampa Bay won in week 1, the Buccaneers. The Philadelphia Eagles won in week number 1 over the Atlanta Falcons. The Pittsburgh Steelers won over the Buffalo Bills. Cincinnati Bengals, they won over the Minnesota Vikings. San Francisco 49ers beat the Detroit Lions. Arizona Cardinals defeated the Tennessee Titans. Seattle Seahawks beat the Indianapolis Colts. The Los Angeles Chargers beat the Washington Football Team. The Carolina Panthers beat the New York Jets. The Houston Texans beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. Kansas City Chiefs beat the Cleveland Browns. The Miami Dolphins beat the New England Patriots. The New Orleans Saints destroyed the Green Bay Packers. The Denver Broncos beat the New York Giants. The Los Angeles Rams took care of the Chicago Bears, and the Las Vegas Raiders downed the Baltimore Ravens. So, go over this list quickly once more. Bucks, Eagles, Steelers, Bengals, 49ers, Cardinals, Seahawks, Chargers, Panthers, Texans, Chiefs, Dolphins, Saints, Broncos, Rams, Raiders. All right. I'm going to continue to hold on to my Buccaneers stock. I don't think I really need to explain myself there. They're the defending Super Bowl champions. They have Tom Brady. They're arguably the most talented team in all of football. I'm not selling my Buccaneers stock. Sorry, not sorry. Eagles. You know I'm selling this stock, man. I mean, seriously. I got to see more. Now, I was impressed with what they did in week 1 to the Atlanta Falcons. And I think the Falcons are going to stink. But you still got to go out and you got to do it. And they did it in a major way. I told you, the game that I'll probably be paying attention the most to in week number 2 is the Eagles at home hosting the San Francisco 49ers. Because I'm going to find out a lot about the 49ers because I think they're going to bounce back this year and be a really good team. But more so, we're going to find out how good the Eagles are. Jalen Hurts, huge surge in jersey sales. They're buying the Jalen Hurts stock right now. They're drinking up all the Jalen Hurts Kool-Aid, and I love it. Get drunk off of it. We're going to find out how serious the Eagles are because a lot of these fans are going crazy right now. They think they're going to win the Super Bowl. They most certainly think they're going to win this division. Okay. You're entitled to feel that way. Let me see what you got against the 49ers. I'm not buying it. What they're selling right now, I'm not buying it. Sorry, not sorry. I'm selling this Eagle stock. While it's at an all-time high, while they're buying up Jalen Hurts jerseys like hotcakes, I'm going to sell this thing and get the most I can for it and get out of the Eagles business before that stock crashes. Selling the Eagles. Steelers. I'm going to go ahead and hold on to my Steelers stock. Think they're going to be just fine. Again, don't really know what I'm getting myself into with the Steelers. Thought they were going to lose against Buffalo in week 1. They won. They surprised me. So I think they're going to be a good team. They're well coached. They got Ben Roethlisberger. They got a ton of talent. I love that they revamped their offensive line. Whether it's good or bad, we'll find out. But I think that they've got a stud back now, even though he wasn't all that great in week 1. I think they're going to be fine offensively. The question is, how good can they be defensively? They look good in week 1. We'll see. So I'm going to hold on to my Steelers stock. I think they're going to ultimately be a really solid team. Cincinnati Bengals. I like the Bengals more than most, and I told you guys that last year. I said, if Joe Burrow doesn't get hurt, they're going to beat some teams they had no business beating. They had already beat Tennessee and beat them handily at that before Burrow went down with an injury. They were going to be in some ball games, and I think they would have beaten some teams. They would have definitely beat Dallas like late in the season and teams like that. They had the Giants later in the season. They lost that game by like 3. They would have beaten the Giants with Joe Burrow. They might have even beaten us with Joe Burrow. Who's to say? I don't know. Hindsight's obviously 2020. At the end of the day, I like the Cincinnati Bengals. I like the talent on their team, and I love what they've done with their defense. That said, I don't love their coaching staff, and I don't think they're ready to take that step, and they're in a brutal, absolutely brutal division. I'm going to go ahead and sell my Cincinnati Bengals stock. Reluctantly, but I'm going to go ahead and sell that. San Francisco 49ers. I love Kyle Shanahan. You guys know how I feel about him as an offensive mind in this league. I think he's also a really good coach. I love what he did with Brandon Ayuk in week 1. Everybody wants to know, why isn't Ayuk playing more? That's because he's not playing well in practice and other guys are outperforming him. He wants to play more. He needs to play better in practice and look like he's ready to get snaps on the field. So I just love Kyle Shanahan. I love how they go about their business. It doesn't matter. They just lost Raheem Mostert for the season. It doesn't matter. Next guy up will run for 125 yards against the Eagles on Sunday. Doesn't matter. I just love what they do, and I think they're going to be better defensively. It sucks that Jason Verrett is injured, and they've got some issues in that secondary. We'll see what they're able to do, but if Bosa and company can get to the quarterback, they'll make all of that obsolete, and they'll make all of that irrelevant. I'm going to hold on to my 49ers stock until otherwise notified. I like the 49ers. Arizona Cardinals in that same division. It's going to be brutal in that division, and it'll be the survival of the fittest. All right. And they showed me something. They made an announcement. I had to offer up a double O to the Cardinals. I called them soft, this, that, and the third, and they were anything but in week 1. Kyler Murray is an exceptional talent. They add J.J. Watt. And all of a sudden, that defensive line with Chandler Jones coming back, they've got a chance to really be special. They've got a ton of talent on the offensive side of the football. I'm buying the Arizona Cardinals, so I'll hold on to my Cardinals stock. Seattle Seahawks, same division, same thing. Russell Wilson, need I say more? He's healthy. They're going to win ball games. I'm holding on to my Seattle Seahawks stock. Los Angeles Chargers. I went back and forth on this one because I don't know about Brandon Staley in year 1. I like Staley. I don't necessarily love Brandon Staley. I looked at them in week 1 and what they were able to do against Washington, and they probably should have lost that game. They could have easily have lost that game. They could have easily won that game going away had they made more plays. At the end of the day, they got Justin Herbert, man. He's really special. And when I look at that defense, if there's one thing Brandon Staley knows how to do, it's coach defense. So I'm going to be intrigued by their defense all year long to see if he can take their defense and make them, because they've got a ton of talent on that side of the football and a bunch of speed. They may be the fastest defense in football. If he can take that defense and get them to be a semblance of what the Rams were last year, the Chargers are going to be a tough team to deal with, especially with Justin Herbert pulling the strings offensively. I'm reluctant to do this, but I'm going to hold on to this stock. I may regret this, and I may take a loss here, but I'm going to hold on to my Chargers stock for now. I think this is a team that is very intriguing and could make a little bit of noise this year. Carolina Panthers. I really like Matt Rule, and I told you guys when he got the job, he's going to turn that program around in Carolina in short order. I said, give him 3 years and they'll be in the playoffs. Well, this is only year 2. And this is Sam Darnold, and this is a lot of change. And Sam Darnold looked good in week 1 versus the Jets, but he also took a lot of hits in week 1 versus the Jets. So can he last? That's been a problem with Sam Darnold. Christian McCaffrey is 97.6% of their offense. Can that last? I don't know the answer to that. I just don't think the Panthers are ready yet. Matt Rule is a very conservative coach. I don't know if that plays well in the NFL or not. They're not going to win games 19-14 every week. They're going to have to score more than 19 points. I don't know if they're capable of doing that on a consistent basis. I'm going to sell my Carolina Panthers stock, but not because I think the Panthers are going to be terrible, but because I think they're 1 year away from being what I think they ultimately need to be a playoff team. Houston Texans, you already know what it is. I told you I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. Now, Tyrod Taylor gives them a shot if he's healthy, but how long are you really going to have a healthy Tyrod Taylor is the question. I don't know how long that's going to be, but I'd imagine it's not going to be for more than half of the season. So with that said, you know I'm selling my Houston Texans stock, and we move on to the Kansas City Chiefs. Look, I don't have, just like with Tampa Bay, I don't have to explain myself. I'm not selling my Chiefs stock. Period. It's like having an Apple stock or having stock in Amazon. I'm not selling it. If I got it and I got in at a good price, I'm going to hold on to it. Miami. They're interesting because I don't know if they believe in Tua or not. All signs point to them not believing in Tua, which is kind of crazy to me. But they've got a ton of talent. I can't express that enough, especially on offense. Defensively, they get the job done. It's not always pretty, but it's gritty. I got my doubts about them, but they're a well-coached team. And they don't beat themselves. And they do all the little things correctly. And because of that, I'm going to hold on to my Dolphins stock. Doesn't hurt that they play in the AFC East, which I don't think is a terrible division, but I think it's one that they can, be, really good against. I think they can sweep the Patriots. They've already gone to Foxborough and beaten them. I think they can sweep the Jets. I think they can split with Buffalo. If they're going to do that, they probably need to take care of business this week at home, because it's going to be tough to go to Orchard Park and beat the Bills. But either way, I see them taking care of business within the division, 4-2, 5-1, 6-0. And I see them continuing to beat teams outside the division. I'm going to hold on to my Dolphins stock. I may regret that, but I'm going to hold on to it. New Orleans Saints. They were one of the biggest surprises of week 1, dominating the Green Bay Packers 38-3. It led a lot of people to think new quarterback, same head coach, business as usual. They're going to keep the party going in New Orleans. And I'm like, not so fast, my friends. I'm not sure if I'm buying what you're selling right now. I see a team that is going to be heavily reliant upon running the football, staying balanced, and not putting Jameis Winston in harm's way. But even when you try not to put Jameis Winston in harm's way, you still are putting Jameis Winston in harm's way because Jameis Winston is always in harm's way. And so I think they're going to struggle offensively at times to be consistent. I think that defensively they're really good, but I think there could be games where they're inconsistent there as well. If the defense continues to be lights out like they were in week 1, they're going to win a bunch of games. But if the defense is inconsistent, and I thought at times they were inconsistent last season, if they're inconsistent and you're relying on Jameis Winston to win you some shootouts, I think they're going to end up on the wrong side of those. They're going to lose some ball games that they probably should win. Bottom line is I'm not buying New Orleans Saints stock. I said before the season started I wasn't really high on the New Orleans Saints. I'm not moving off the spot after a week 1 beatdown of the Packers. I need to see more, and we're going to see if they can provide that for me and give me a little bit more data to work with and provide clarity for me. Right now, I'm not sold enough. I'm going to go ahead and sell my Saints stock. Broncos, love their defense. To me, they've got a chance to be elite defensively. That Ronald Darby injury hurts because that secondary was so deep. It was so deep, in fact, that their first-round pick, Patrick Surtain II, didn't even have to play, really, against the Giants. He wasn't a real starter for them because they had Darby on one side and Kyle Fuller on the other side. But now, with the injury to Darby, Surtain has to go in and start. So you're getting your secondary depth tested, but that front is as good as any in the league. And with Teddy Bridgewater pulling the strings, they've got as much offensive talent as anybody in the league. That injury to Jerry Jeudy, it does change things slightly, but they've got receivers for days. They'll be fine and hold it down until Jerry Jeudy is able to recover from that high ankle sprain. So I'm buying what the Denver Broncos are selling. With Teddy Bridgewater at the helm, I can see him doing exactly what he did for the Saints. Come in, manage the game with a good defense and a good football team. Don't turn it over. Take advantage of opportunities. I can see the Broncos being in a bunch of games and winning a bunch of games because of the way they're set up. Los Angeles Rams, I'm a massive Sean McVay fan. I think they're one of the best defenses in football with Aaron Donald. Never, ever trust a man with 2 first names, and Jalen Ramsey. On the offensive side of the football, you upgrade the most important position in all of football with Matthew Stafford. I just don't see how the Rams aren't a team that you're going to continue to hold on to the stock with. Their stock is rising, and you've already got some. Why would you sell it now? It's only going up. So I'm going to hold on to that. And then the Raiders. I want to sell this stock so bad. I really do. I probably should sell it. I'm going to go ahead and sell the Raiders stock, man. I want to hold on to it, but I don't think they have the type of depth that's going to sustain them. I didn't like what they did to Josh Jacobs in week 1. He shouldn't have played. Now he's out for week 2. I think they should have just let him sit out that game. They had Kenyon Drake. This is why you signed Kenyon Drake in the offseason. He could have carried the load, and they could have still beaten the Ravens. They didn't need to put Josh Jacobs out there on a bum toe and not feeling well from, being under the weather during the week. Thought that was negligence on their part. Now he's not able to play this week. That said, I look at their roster, and they've made so many mistakes in the draft, yet they still have so many different pieces that they can win with. But I need to see consistency from them, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get that, especially on the defensive side of the football. They've got Darren Waller right now, and then and Hunter Renfrow, and then after that, I don't know. I don't trust Zay Jones. I don't trust Henry Ruggs yet, and I don't trust, even though I really like Bryan Edwards, I don't trust any of those guys yet. They've got some stuff. I waffle, I go back and forth because I just convinced myself to hold on to the stock. But I'm like, it's the Raiders, and they always find ways to F things up. I'm going to sell the stock, man. It's a brutal division. I don't think they're better than the Broncos. They may be better than the Chargers. They may not be better than the Chargers, and they're not better than the Chiefs. I'm going to sell my Raider stock. I may regret that, but I'm going to sell my Raider stock. So that gives me 6 out of the 16 teams that won in week 1 that I'm going to sell stock on. What says you out there? Who are you selling stock in after week 1 of the 16 winners from week number 1? That's going to do it for the Gem Droppin Session today. We will take a quick break, get a word from one of our sponsors, come back on the other side, and get into Thursday night leftovers. Start heading to the fridge, start heading to the kitchen, start heading to the microwave, wherever you need to go to get to your leftovers. Start making your way there. We'll come back and we'll chow down. You're locked into the 203rd installment of the LouieTeeNetwork podcast. I will see you guys on the other side. I want to take this time to thank Manscaped for sponsoring the LouieTeeNetwork podcast. Fantasy football draft season is upon us. It's time you put the PP back in PPR league with the sponsors of today's show, Manscaped. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming just launched the new Performance Package 4.0. Don't neglect your balls like the Packers front office has been neglecting Aaron Rodgers. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff by going to manscaped.com, getting 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code LouieT. This will help you tame that Troy Polamalu in your pants. If you're grooming below the waist, the Performance Package 4.0 is an essential purchase. And good news for all of our international listeners out there, their life-changing products are now available in Canada, the UK, across Europe, Australia, South Africa, and even Singapore. Inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver, Ball Deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance Boxer briefs, and a travel bag as well. First scheduled for liftoff, new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. This spaceship is here to guide you on a journey to trim your balls, body, and even your A-gap. Don't want to fall prey to that double A-gap blitz. This 4th generation trimmer also features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multifunction on and off switch which can engage travel lock and is even waterproof. The Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 4000K LED spotlight which allows you to be as accurate as that clip of Tom Brady playing catch with the jugs machine. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker. It's like having Derrick Henry run through those tough nose and ear hairs. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. This ear and nose hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology which helps reduce nicks, snags, and tugs in those sensitive holes. Pause. Don't forget to use the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and their Crop Reviver to help your little bench warmers be on their A game while feeling the sun's heat. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and Shed Travel Bag as well. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code LouieT at Manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code LouieT at Manscaped.com. If your significant other is nagging you about how much time you put in your fantasy team, you might as well gift them some beautiful balls with Manscaped. And trust me when I tell you this, your balls and your significant other will thank you. Welcome back to the 203rd installment of the LouieTeeNetwork podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. If you're out there and you're watching this podcast, do me a huge solid and hit the subscribe button for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And hit the like button if you haven't already done so. You guys are hilarious. I'm just reading some of the comments in the comment section. Y'all over here talking about all things under the sun. Bigger TV opened up a can of worms when he asked me about MCs. Y'all were talking about that. Y'all are talking about basketball. I see my Condo P and Jay Will in here talking basketball, bringing up some classic Nets players. And oh man, I see Drazen Petrovic. What y'all know about Drazen, man? What y'all know about him, man? That dude was an assassin. You want to talk about shooters? Before there was Steph Curry and all of these shooters in the league, it was Drazen Petrovic. Anyway, I digress. Again, I don't need to go down that rabbit hole. Let's get to these leftovers, man. I told y'all, hit the kitchen, go to the microwave, go to the fridge, go wherever you need to go to get your leftovers. Tell y'all what my leftovers consist of, and man, were they delicious. So, had some rice, some asparagus, and some baby potatoes, some roasted baby potatoes, drizzled with a little bit of sauce over the top. Oh my God, I told you, when you get that second day, the first day it's good, it's hot, but when it gets to simmer and those juices get to marinate, we talking about some good eating. So I'm ready to sit down. I just put that in the microwave, got it to a nice warm temperature. I got my fork. I'm ready to dig in and clean these leftovers up. So let's go through our Thursday night leftovers from the 30-29 victory for the Washington football team over the New York Giants in week number 2 in an NFC East showdown. Family business. You know how the family do it. So we start with our first leftover. Let me get my fork, man. Oh, this is going to be so good. The only thing that I hate about asparagus is that it gets caught in between my teeth. And then I find myself afterwards. This is why I always have to have long nails. I get in between my teeth now because I got asparagus strings in my teeth. It drives me nuts. Giants scored on 7 of 11 possessions in this game. Now, if we want to be technical, it's 11 possessions, but it's really 10. That possession before the half was a kneel down possession. That doesn't count to me, but of course the NFL does count that as a possession. But it's really 7 out of 10. 70% of their possessions in this game featured a score by the Giants, including only punting once and scoring 5 times in the second half. So how in the hell did they manage to lose this game? I will tell you. What's the mantra? What's the motto? You guys know it. Come on. Come on. You know it. Field goals don't win games. Touchdowns do. And the Giants scored more than Washington, who scored 6 times in the game. But the Giants settled for 5. Count them. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th field goals in the game. That's how you get beat. Only 2 touchdowns, 5 field goals. If any one of those field goal attempts were touchdowns, whether it's the Darius Slayton drop or the Daniel Jones called back touchdown run that turned into a field goal, if any of them are touchdowns instead of field goals, they win the game. Jamin Davis with a big stop on a 3rd down and 7, makes the tackle 2-3 yards short of the sticks. If that's John Bostic, that's a touchdown. The Giants win the game. If any of those field goal attempts turn into a touchdown, the Giants win. It is imperative that you get touchdowns in this league and not settle for field goals. The Giants settled for 5 of them. That's why they lost the game. Among other reasons, obviously. Next leftover. Get me another bite. Roasted potatoes, and I'm a potatoes guy. French fries are among my favorite foods. Roasted potatoes are the best. I just love potatoes. But you know what's crazy? I love potatoes, but I don't like mashed potatoes. Maybe it's the consistency. I can't stand mashed potatoes. But give me roasted potatoes, you give me home fries for breakfast, you give me French fries, I'll gobble it up. I can eat it all day. I don't know. Anyway, get this out of my teeth. These leftovers are delicious. Taylor Heineke got his first career win in the National Football League. Heineke, the legend of Heineke, it grows. In his third NFL start. But did you know that in his third NFL start, when he gets his first career victory, it was also the first time Taylor Heineke has started and finished a game healthy? How about that? First time in his career, he started a game and finished it the same way he went in, healthy. In Carolina, when he made his first and only start for the Panthers, he tore his pec muscle. In his first and only start for Washington in 2020 against the Buccaneers, he injured his shoulder. And now in his third start, first of the 2021 season, he gets through the game healthy. Let's knock on a little bit of wood and hope that he stays and remains that way. So, good for Taylor Heineke. Hopefully this is the beginning of what is a beautiful career for the Burgundy and Gold. Next leftover. Daniel Jones is now 4-1 versus the Washington football team. He was previously undefeated against Washington, but he is 4-19 against the rest of the National Football League. So now his record in his career stands at 8-20. This is the reason why Giants fans are conflicted. When he plays against Washington, if he could play against Washington every week, Daniel Jones would be the best quarterback in football. Problem is, he doesn't play against Washington every week. And when he doesn't play against Washington, he usually looks like ass. Turning the football over, indecisive. The offensive line usually doesn't protect him. He's waiting and patting the football instead of cutting it loose and not throwing with timing and rhythm. Yeah. His legs are always a weapon, but he's a different animal when he plays against Washington. And he did it again. He was extraordinary in this game. Didn't throw an interception. Was outstanding from the pocket. Was surgical with his accuracy for the most part. I contend, and I'm probably out on a limb by myself, but I thought he overthrew Darius Slayton. Should Slayton have caught the football? Yes. It was not an easy, oh my God, it hit him between the 8 and the 6 drop. It was off his fingertips. He should have dove. He should have dove and he should have caught the football. That said, he had 95 yards rushing on 9 attempts, and it would have been well over 100 if they didn't call back the latter half of his run against on the touchdown run with the holding by Board. So Jones did everything he could to help that team win in week number 2. It just happened to all be for not. Next leftover. You know, rice is so underrated. When done right, you know how pasta, you got to cook it till it's al dente? Rice, you need to cook it till it's just soft enough. Almost soft enough that it's sticky, but not too sticky. You don't want your rice too hard or else it just doesn't hit the same. That's some good rice, man. Terry McLaurin set a career high versus the Giants with 11 catches on 14 targets. Also a career high for Terry McLaurin. So he was doing work and caught it at a very high clip. When they targeted Terry, for the most part, he got it done. Over 100 yards receiving in the game for Terry McLaurin. He was fantastic. And they don't win that football game without Terry McLaurin. He had a touchdown grab in this game, his first of the season. He was phenomenal, gave Washington a chance. And so Terry McLaurin, I think, is starting to introduce himself to a much larger and broader audience. Those who know okay? You watch enough ball, you know who Terry McLaurin is and what he's capable of. He was snubbed by the NFL 100 players list, which, again, I don't think the players really know how good Terry McLaurin is, but people are going to find out. Washington's getting better. They're going to be in the spotlight a little bit more. That was the first of 3 primetime games, possibly 4 this season, depending on how things break. This was a team that only had 1 primetime game a season ago, and it technically was not a primetime game, but was a Thanksgiving game. And then they got the second at the end of the season, which is the one game that they had on primetime versus the Eagles in Week 17 before playing in the playoffs. So people don't really know who Terry McLaurin is. He's played with now 5 different quarterbacks in the last 2 seasons. So it's been a struggle for Terry, but he still balls and still produces. And last night was a big game for him. The first of what we think will be many for McLaurin on the season. Next leftover. Yeah. That does it every time right there. You get the perfect combination of rice, roasted potato, and asparagus all in the same bite. Never misses. Never misses. Giants are 0-2 for the 5th straight season. Let that sink in. I'm going to say it again for those of you in the back that have a bit of time hearing, a bit hard of hearing, and are struggling to process what I just said. I'm going to say it once more. The Giants are 0-2 to start the season for the 5th straight year in a row. Fox had the funniest post on socials after the loss last night. Football on Fox posted a picture of the Giants' infamous yacht snapshot of everybody with no shirt on, jeans, trying to look like models on the boat before that playoff game against Green Bay that they ultimately lost. You know the picture I'm talking about. They've started every season 0-2 since that photo was taken. That's the post that Fox made. Hilarious. I didn't realize it was that bad for the Giants. I didn't realize that they've started 0-2 every year since 2017. So 17, they started 0-2. 18, they started 0-2. 19, they started 0-2. 20, they started 0-2. And now they're 0-2 in 2021. Amazing. I didn't realize the ineptitude was that bad in New York. And I'm actually shocked. It's tough to start every year 0-2. And they've managed to do that. And I think they're the first team to do it since the Rams did it back from 07 to 11. And remember how bad they were for a good span there, where they were drafting almost first every other year, it felt like. Yikes. Maybe I see why my guy Emperor Meach wants to blow it up. We'll see. It's plenty of football left. 15 games. Joe Judge only, what is this? 18 games in now for Joe Judge. 16 last year, 2 this year. Let's see what he's about. I can tell you, when you do some of the things he did this offseason, it's easy to become a target. And it's easy for guys to want to quit on you. They better start winning, and they better start winning fast, or it could get really ugly for Joe Judge in New York. Finally, last bite of the Thursday night leftovers. I'm going to savor this one real quick. Nothing like some good old-fashioned jasmine rice. I can't eat any other rice. Give me some jasmine rice all day, every day. Washington scored 30 points for the first time since December 22nd of 2019. Back in Week 16 against, you guessed it, the New York Football Giants, the G-Men. Now, it was a loss to old Daniel Jones in overtime, the old Colt McCoy Daniel Jones battle. Or actually, Case Keenum came in. Excuse me. Dwayne Haskins started. and Case Keenum finished. It was a showdown of epic proportions. Daniel Jones threw for 5 touchdowns and no interceptions in that game to lead the G-Men to a 41-35 victory. And that, in overtime, I may add, that was the last time Washington scored 30 points. Now, they scored 41 against Dallas on Thanksgiving, I got to remind you, but in the 30s, from 30 to 39, that was the last time Washington scored, from 30 to 39. December 22nd of 2019. That's how inept this offense has been. Hard to win games. It's amazing that they won 7 games last year without scoring, 30 more than once. They scored 30 one time, plus 30 plus one time, and that was a 40 burger on Dallas on Thanksgiving. Hard to imagine they won 6 other games scoring anywhere from 20, let's call it 27. I don't think we ever scored 28 or 29. 27 to 20 points. They probably won a game scoring 20 somewhere in there, I had to guess. The Bengals game was 20-9. So gonna have to score more than that, and we did in week number 2 versus the Giants, finally eclipsing the 30 mark, or hitting the 30 mark. I'll take it any way I can get it. So those are your Thursday night leftovers. Let's transition to our final segment, and that is, of course, my money picks of the week. Money, yeah. Money, yeah. Let's get it. Let's get to these money picks of the week, man. And I'm going to tell y'all a quick story, man. Your man Louie T is pissed off because I had a chance to win the football pool. And I had put myself in a predicament. I didn't have the week that I wanted last week. Last week, I went 9-7. If I don't hit double digits, I'm disappointed. And I thought the Ravens were going to come through for the kid, win in Monday night, get me to 10-6. And I was feeling pretty confident when they were up, 14-0 in the game? I was feeling pretty confident. Or was it 10-0? Whatever it was, I was feeling confident they were going to run away and hide. Obviously, that didn't happen. They ultimately lose the game. But I was down going into Monday night in the weekly pick'em pool by 1 game. And I had 6 losses. The person in front of me had 5, but they had the Raiders. So I could get back in if the Ravens won. And then it came down to points. So I had 51. The person ahead of me with the Raiders had 54. And there was someone under me that also had 6 losses and the Ravens, and they had 50. So what that effectively meant was I had to have the Ravens win, and the 2 combined teams had to score 51 points, essentially, for me to win. I had to hit it on the head. Now, I had from 51 to 53, so if the score ended up being 33-20, I could still win if the Ravens won 33-20. But if they scored a combined 54 or more, I was going to lose regardless who won the game. Raiders win, then the person ahead of me won anyway because they would have 5 losses and I would have 7. But if the Ravens won and they scored a combined 54 or more, then that person was going to win anyway. If they scored less than 51, then the person that had 50 would win because they had from 0 to 50. So if the score ended up being 27-23, that's 50 points, that person would have won. If it would have been, 28-21, that's 49, that person would have won. I had to essentially hit it on the head. And when I pick my scores, I have a score in my mind. So for me, it was 2 scores that was going to get me to 51. 31-20 or 27-24. Guess what the score was when the Ravens kicked the field goal with less than 50 seconds to go in the game? You guessed it. 27-24, 51 points. I hit it on the head. I got what I needed. All I needed was a damn stop by the Ravens, and they blew it. Needless to say, I lost $100. The kid was pissed. It happens. That's why I love football. Anyway, I'm still a champ. Ain't shit changed. Except for the week. Which means I got to bring you some more heat. Didn't bring you enough of it last week. So I'm going to bring you some heat this week. Let's go through these picks. I love it when I start the week off 1-0. So we're going to drop some coins for that 1-0 start. We're going to drop a bunch of coins. for that 1-0 start. We're going to drop some big coins for that 1-0 start. We're going to drop some big coins for that 1-0 start. We're going to drop some big coins for that 1-0 start, because that wasn't just any 1-0 start this week. It's a big boy 1-0 start. Getting off the schneid. So, now, got off to a good start with the win on Thursday night. Washington getting it done. So let's go to Sunday. Sunday. Raiders at Steelers. It's a good start for the Raiders. No Josh Jacobs this week. The Steelers, I'm still trying to figure them out. Still trying to see what they're about this year. I think they're actually going to ultimately be a really good team, are the Steelers, but I need to see it. That said, they're at home opener. I think they're a better team than the Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to find it tough to be able to protect Derek Carr adequately. I think he's going to be under duress. I think you may get a mistake in this game from Carr, maybe two. I don't think the running game will be as effective. And I think on the defensive side, we saw an improvement because the Raiders were so bad last year that anything was going to be an improvement. But I think the Steelers may be able to run the football on the Raiders, and that will open up some opportunities to take some shots against that secondary. I'll take the Steelers in this game to get it done at the crib. Drop some coins on it. You move on to San Francisco at Philadelphia. This is the game that I will be watching probably the closest, right? 49ers jump out to a massive lead against the Lions, almost blow it, but they showed me the things that made me fall in love with them 2 years ago with Shanahan pulling the strings in 19 when they went all the way to the Super Bowl. They ran it. They had explosive plays in the past game. Jimmy Garoppolo looked like a guy that was looking to protect his domain as the starting quarterback. He was outstanding in that game. Deebo Samuel looks to be back and healthy. They look like they're putting the pieces of the puzzle back together. Boza was back, all of that good jazz. They do lose Dre Greenlaw in that game. He'll be out for a considerable amount of time. That's going to hurt their defense, and they lose Jason Verrett. So they do have some big voids to fill defensively, but if they are who I think they are, then they should go to Philadelphia and win. The Eagles, equally as impressive as the 49ers were on the road. They took care of the Atlanta Falcons. Jalen Hurts looked good. The run game looked good. The defense was dominant. They dominated, I thought, both lines of scrimmages. I don't expect them to do that in this game. Should be fun. You know what I think. I think the 49ers are the better team, and I think they'll prove it. And I don't think the Eagles are as good as they think they are. I think they get brought back to earth. Give me the 49ers in this football game. Drop some coins on them. All right. Houston at Cleveland. The Texans won, and they were impressive, but it was Jacksonville. So it's hard for me to take it seriously. Cleveland, on the other hand, nearly did the impossible and went into Kansas City and won week one. They fell short. They made some mistakes late, but they proved that they weren't a fluke last year. They look like they're legit. And if they stay healthy up front, they did lose Jedrick Wills for a little while with an injury, but they stay relatively healthy up front. They can run it with anybody, and they can run it on anybody, and Baker Mayfield looked extremely sharp. Still no Odell Beckham Jr. Shame on you if you step toot the old dirty Beckham. ODB still out. But they showed me last week they got plenty of weaponry to withstand ODB being out of the lineup. The Browns home opener, they look good. They're for real. I don't think the Texans are. Give me the Browns to take care of business at home. Drop some coins on it. Denver at Jacksonville. This is a good one here. Not. The Denver Broncos, I think, are an elite defense. Elite is a strong word. I think they're a really good defense, one of the better defenses in all of football. And if they stay healthy, if Von Miller, they get Bradley Chubb back, they're going to be a very scary group. Their secondary may be the best in football when healthy. I think they got some quality players at linebacker, including Alexander Johnson. I think they've got some studs. Defensively, offensively, they may be the fastest offense in football, and they may be the most deep and talented offense in football with Teddy Bridgewater taking care of business back there. They, to me, have every box checked. They're going to dominate Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence threw 3 interceptions last week. Trevor Lawrence may throw 3 interceptions this week, or he may fumble 3 times this week. Give me the Denver Broncos. Drop some coins on that on the road to take care of the Jacksonville Jaguars. New Orleans Saints at the Carolina Panthers. This is some NFC South family business. If these two teams said they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. If they did, that's family business. And I'm going to tell you this right now. This is a big game for me personally because I think New Orleans is fraudulent, and I think the Panthers are going to be better than people think. I don't think the Panthers are ready to make the postseason, but I do think they're going to be better than people think. They lost a lot of close games last year. They're better than they were last year. They're much improved on both sides of the football, and I think Sam Darnold is an upgrade at the quarterback position over what they were getting out of Teddy Bridgewater. That said, the Saints were impressive last week, and Jameis Winston looked good, and they ran the football, and they did all of the things that you expect a Sean Payton team to be able to do. The defense was howling around and flying around the football field. I look at this game and I say, all right, New Orleans, you want me to take you serious? Go to Carolina, a place that you've struggled in the past, and go beat them with Jameis Winston. Run the football. This is a tough, gritty, physical Panthers defense that I don't think is going to allow them to control the game like they did last week against Green Bay on the ground and then allow Jameis to play off of the run. I think they're going to force Jameis to have to beat them, force him into a mistake or two, and they're going to ultimately win the game. Give me the Carolina Panthers at the crib to start the season off 2-0 and bring the New Orleans Saints back down to earth. Drop some coins on it. Los Angeles Rams at the Indianapolis Colts. Really disappointing start to the season for the Colts last year. You don't want to drop to 0-2 with both of those losses being home losses, but the schedule makers didn't do them any favors by scheduling 2 straight home games against 2 really good NFC West opponents to start the season off in Seattle last week and now this week, the Los Angeles Rams. That said, you got to put your big boy pants on and find a way to get it done. If you really want to consider yourself one of the better teams in the AFC, got to find a way to beat good teams. If you want to clearly separate yourself from the rest of the NFC or AFC South, which is not a good division, this would be a great stepping stone towards doing that. And you'd announce to the rest of the league, because we think the Rams are a Super Bowl contender, you'd announce to the league that, hey, don't sleep on us. That said, I am sleeping on you. I don't think you're winning this football game. I don't think you're better than the Rams. And so I'm going to take the Los Angeles Rams. I just see them being able to do some of the same things that the Seahawks were able to do a week ago. And the Rams are better defensively than the Seahawks are. So I'll take the Rams, drop some coins on that to go to 2-0 on the season. So that moves us to Buffalo at Miami. AFC East family business. You know how to family do it. Actually, this is not my family business. I'm an NFC East, not an AFC East guy, but I don't mind watching some good old-fashioned family business from afar and assessing the damage from a ways away. So, the Dolphins last week took care of some AFC East family business on the road against the Patriots. They're looking to double it up, and do it again, this time against them, at home, this time against the Buffalo Bills, who are desperate coming in at 0-1. I'm taking the Dolphins seriously now. I think they're a good ball club. I think they're going to be around when it's all said and done, and I think they may ultimately make the postseason after just missing out by a game last year. That said, Buffalo, they're pissed. They lost the game in week 1. They had no business losing. Now they got to go on the road, and they got to find a way to avoid 0-2. Nobody wants to be 0-2. Nobody wants to start off the season 0-2 and starting to hear the numbers. Well, since the league is going to 16-game schedule, only 12% of teams that have started 0-2 have made the playoffs. They don't want to hear that shit. Nobody wants to hear that. So to avoid that, the Bills have to go on the road and do some things differently. Like, not be over aggressive, because the Dolphins, they're not going to play that game with you. They're not going to go for it on fourth down. They're not going to push the envelope. If they need to punt, they're going to punt. If they need to kick a field goal, they're going to kick a field goal. They don't mind beating you 19-17. And the Bills have to understand who their opponents are and when they need to push that button of aggressiveness and when they need to scale back and just do the little things and win the football game. I think they're going to recalibrate. They're going to do the little things correctly in week 2 and get the win on the road. Give me the Buffalo Bills to get on the left side of the win-loss column and get the win. Drop some coins on that one. So, Patriots at Jets. More AFC East family business, please. This is interesting because 2 rookie quarterbacks squaring off. Remember, the AFC East has, in aggregate, the youngest starting quarterback average age in NFL history. Okay, they got 2 rookies starting. They've got a second-year quarterback starting in Tua Tagovailoa, and they got a 4th-year quarterback in Josh Allen starting. And Allen's 25, Tua's 23, and I think both Mac Jones and Zach Wilson are both 22, if I'm not mistaken. So, really young division. At the end of the day, you look at this game, and I think it ultimately comes down to which quarterback do you believe in the most, and which defense do you believe in the most. In past years, I would say I believe in Belichick's defense, and just give me whoever they got at quarterback. They'll get it done. Cam, Tom, Mac Jones. Just give me whoever they got in Belichick's defense, and I'm good. Not exactly this time. Not exactly. See, I'm a Robert Saleh guy. And even though they lost last week, they played some defense. And they fell down early in that game, but they never stopped fighting. And before you knew it, they took a double-digit deficit and got back into that game and had a chance late. I like the Jets. I like Zach Wilson more than I like Mac Jones. Who? Mac Jones. And I like the Jets' defense more than I like the Patriots' defense. So what I'm saying to you is the Jets are home, and I think they beat the New England Patriots. That's right. Drop some coins on it. Give me the New York Jets to take down the New England Patriots in week number 2. Cincinnati Bengals at the Chicago Bears. The Bears. They're going home for their home opener after getting embarrassed by the Rams in week number 1. Meanwhile, Cincinnati travels to Chicago, and not a long trip, 2 Midwest teams, to take on the Bears after winning in overtime, nearly blowing that game against Minnesota, but holding on and winning in overtime to start the season 1-0. Joe Burrow was fantastic. Jamar Chase was fantastic. Joe Mixon was fantastic. That defense at times was fantastic. I'm hopeful about this Cincinnati Bengals team. I love the talent that they have on offense. I love what they've done with their defense. And I think this team is going to be better than people think. That said, the Bears are good defensively. Don't love their offense. Thought that David Montgomery ran it really well in week 1. That was the lone bright spot, if you ask me, for them offensively in that game. They still got Khalil Mack. They still got Akeem Hicks. They still got some ballers on that defense. Roquan Smith and a host of other guys that can get the job done. Is that going to be enough to rattle the cage of Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, and company offensively, force a turnover or 2 and help them win that game? Because I don't think their offense is all that great. I may surprise you with this one. Give me the Bengals on the road, man. I like that offense. I think they can score. I don't think Chicago's offense is that dynamic. I think the Bengals defensively are good enough to get it done. As a matter of fact, that's an upset of the week. Drop another thing of coins on that one, man. That's a big one for me. I lose that one, that could affect my record big time. But I'm going out on a limb. Give me Cincinnati. Out on a limb. I'm giving in to you again. I got my survivor pick of the week. This is an easy one. I hate doing this. You know how I feel about family business, especially when it's not my family business. I tend to stay out of it. NFC South family business. You know how the family do it. Falcons at Bucks. Man, I think the Falcons stink. That's an understatement. I think they stink. And because I think they stink, they're playing the defending Super Bowl champions off of 10 days of rest. Zoinks! Scoob! I think this one is a massacre. Give me the Buccaneers to slay the Falcons. Soul Survivor pick of the week. We're going to drop the coins on this one because I need it. I got to stay alive in my Survivor pool. So we're going to drop some coins on this thing as we get it done with the Soul Survivor pick of the week. Minnesota Vikings at the Arizona Cardinals. So, the Minnesota Vikings, I said before the season, not going to be a good team. And when I say not going to be a good team, the Vikings aren't going to stink. They're just not going to qualify for postseason contention. They're going to be an 8 or 9 win team. 9 is too high for me because that's over 500. I think they're an 8-7 win team. Okay, so somewhere in that vicinity, that's not good enough. Vikings fans won't be satisfied with a 7-10 or 8-9 mark. And I think that's where they're going to ultimately end up this season. Don't think they're good enough. Don't think they're deep enough. But they showed some moxie on the road against Cincinnati. Falling behind in that game by double digits, rallying back to tie it, send it to overtime. Had a chance to win it in overtime. We're pretty much in field goal range before Dalvin Cook's fumble. That's a questionable call. I thought he was down, but they called it, a fumble on the field. And you've seen, and you watched the game on Thursday night with some of the poor decisions by replay. If they call it on the field and there's not, without a doubt, a shadow of a doubt, clear evidence that disputes it, they're going to leave it as is. They called it a fumble. They left it a fumble, and it ultimately cost them. They lost that game. I look at the Vikings and I say, the defense is going to have to come alive in this one. They're going to have to really rattle the cage of Kyler Murray. The Titans were not able to do it. Chandler Jones was a beast last year, an untamed, uncaged beast. 5 sacks by himself. That Vikings offensive line, not very good. Not very good. I could see Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt having a field day. I don't love the Arizona Cardinals, but I like them a lot in this game. Give me the Cardinals to beat the Minnesota Vikings and go to 2-0 on the season. Drop some coins on that one. So, moving to the Tennessee Titans at the Seattle Seahawks. That's a tough way to start if you're Tennessee. You get the doors blown off of you at home 38-13. Now you got to go on the road and take on Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks in their home opener. Good luck. You're going to need it. I don't think I have to say much about this. The Seahawks are a good team. They're well balanced. They're well coached. And they're healthy. And that's always the biggest key with Seattle. When they're healthy, they're dangerous. They got all their weapons. Russell Wilson is a man on a mission. He was outstanding last week. I think he picks right up where he left off last week. And they beat the Tennessee Titans and dropped the Titans to 0-2 on the season. Give me the Seattle Seahawks at home to start the season off 2-0. Drop some coins on it. Dallas at the Los Angeles Chargers. So, this game, we talked about it briefly earlier. There's some injuries on both sides. If you're Dallas, you just hate the fact that you've got essentially Joey Bosa going up against a third-string tackle. That's not ideal at all. So you're going to have to chip. You're going to have to double team. You're going to have to really help out Brandon Knight because he was awful last year. So that's a problem. And that's going to affect your offense because you want to get your tight ends out there on the route. You want to get your running backs out of the backfield. And you want to have your eligibles be out there in full force. And you may have to have those guys stay in. You may have to have that guy chip, which throws off the timing of the play, just to make sure Dak Prescott has time to go through his progressions and get the football off in a timely manner. That said, you lose your best defensive player in DeMarcus Lawrence to a broken foot. He'll be out for an extended period of time. That's going to hurt what is already not a great defense against what could be a really good Chargers offense. There are a lot of matchups that are intriguing in this game. Chargers offense versus Dallas's defense. Dallas defense looked much improved in week 1, but again, you're going into battle without your best defender now in DeMarcus Lawrence. How do they fare? And then, that Chargers defense, which is fast and free-flowing and aggressive, how do they fare against this Cowboys offense that was red hot a week ago with Dak Prescott back under center? A lot of intriguing matchups. Still got to pick one winner. I'm going to go with the Chargers at the crib to take care of the Cowboys. Drop some coin on it. I just think the Chargers are a good football team, and defensively, they'll slow down Dallas enough to score enough against the Cowboys defense that will suffer because of the loss of DeMarcus Lawrence. And the Chargers get this win to start 2-0 against the NFC East. Sunday night football. Sunday. The City Chiefs taking on the Baltimore Ravens. This has been a matchup we've watched unfold on national television, I believe, for the last 3 years, and it's been a prominent matchup for the last 4, if I'm not mistaken, going back to Mahomes' rookie season. The Ravens simply cannot beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs have their number. I think Mahomes is 4-0 versus the Chiefs in his career, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe 3-0. I think this is his 4th year as a starter, which is insane when you think about Mahomes and how good he's been and how highly regarded he is in the league at such an early age. To think that this is his 4th year in the league, so I think he's 3-0 versus the Ravens. The last 2 years, they've played them on, I think, Monday and Sunday night respectively, and now we're back on Sunday night again for this matchup. I think last year it was on Monday night. Chiefs went on the road and dispatched of the Ravens. In that ball game, I think we're going to see the same thing happen in this ball game. I will say this, I don't think the Chiefs are as explosive offensively this year. They've lost some pieces. They still need, and they're waiting on Mecole Hardman to step up and be that next guy alongside Tyreek Hill at the wide receiver position for them offensively. As far as their defense is concerned, I don't love their edge rushers, never have, probably never will. Not a big Frank Clark guy, but man, is Chris Jones good. And they'll get Tyrann Mathieu back this week more likely than not, which will really enhance their defense and secondary in particular. So I really think that the Ravens, who we already talked about all the injuries, they sustained another injury to their secondary. Westray, their cornerback that played, I thought, actually well against the Raiders, went down this week. So he's another guy that's banged up. They're just dropping like flies in Baltimore. And so I just don't think they've got enough juice offensively or defensively to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And so I'll take the Chiefs on the road on Sunday night to continue their dominance over the Ravens. Drop some coins on it. So I'll leave my Monday night prediction for our Monday podcast, but to quickly recap. Got it done on Thursday Night Football with Washington, so start off the week 1-0. Steelers, 49ers, Browns, Broncos, Panthers, Rams, Bills, Jets, Bengals, Bucks, Soul Survivor pick, Cardinals, Seahawks, Chargers, Chiefs. That is what it looks like for my money picks of the week. And that is what it's going to look like for this 203rd installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I thank you guys for joining me. This was a ton of fun. This almost felt like a Wednesday podcast and social media maneuvers. We were all over the place. You guys were very active today. Really do appreciate you. I didn't think I would have this much attendance on a Friday night, but I love it, man. Guess I'm not the only one at home on a Friday night. So that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. You guys go and enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm going to go pop a bottle of my finest red wine and kick back and relax. And maybe I'll watch some more of that game yesterday. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. There's some college football on. I might jump into some of that. In any event, I'm going to enjoy this weekend. So should you. If you're a Washington fan, enjoy it. We won't get too many more of these because we don't play on Thursday night again this season. So enjoy this. Celebrate. We took care of business already. We get to watch everybody else struggle. So until next time, I'm your man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Get off the bench and get in the game and kick it with me, your man, Louie T. Until next time, you guys, have a good one. God bless, and good night.
LouieTeeNetwork.